Chapter 31:31. All of you die. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He was still attacking crazily. The 100 transformation divine fist punched towards the 3 Emperor Realm experts, one after another. At the same time, it enveloped the divine path, Huang Yanma, Xian Lengen, and the others. In fact, Lin Feng was already exhausted. But Lin Feng knew that he couldn't show any signs of fatigue, because once he did, he would show signs of fatigue. If these people delayed for a while longer, he would be exhausted. At that time, he would definitely die. Right now, Lin Feng was squeezing out his body to stimulate his potential. Most of the time, people were forced out. Unless they were in a desperate situation, they couldn't force out even more potential. Lin Feng was still attacking crazily even though he was exhausted. He was forcing himself to look as brave as a tiger. At this moment, Lin Feng felt his body start to heat up. He felt that the fatigue in his body had actually eased a lot. This meant that, under such a deep stimulation, Lin Feng's potential, it was stimulated once again. Let's go, the 3 Emperor Realm experts shouted with incomparably gloomy expressions. Initially, they had thought that Lin Feng had used up a lot of energy and was about to run out of energy. Therefore, the 3 Emperor Realm experts wanted to delay for a while longer, until Lin Feng showed signs of exhaustion. Kill Lin Feng in one fell swoop. But now that they saw that Lin Feng's attacks were still so fierce, the 3 Emperor Realm experts didn't have any confidence. They didn't want to continue fighting with Lin Feng like this. It was very likely that they would lose their lives here. They knew very well how difficult it was to cultivate to the Emperor Realm. Only they knew how much hardship they had suffered in order to cultivate to this realm. Therefore, the 3 Emperor Realm experts were people who cherished their lives. Therefore, they made plans to evacuate this place. Of course, the 3 Emperor Realm experts planned to guard outside. As long as Lin Feng came out, at that time, it would be a thunderous attack. The 3 Emperor Realm experts who had left the forbidden space naturally wouldn't be afraid of Lin Feng. In the divine Dao battle, Huang Yanma, Xian Lengen, and the others didn't dare to linger. Including the 3 great monarchs, the group of people quickly escaped. Lin Feng had single-handedly killed so many top-notch geniuses. He had even scared off 3 great emperors and several other top-notch geniuses. If news of this battle were to spread, it would definitely alarm the 9 prefectures. Huff, 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 after the 3 great monarchs' divine Dao battle, and the others left, Lin Feng began to pant heavily. A deep sense of fatigue engulfed his entire body. If not for the fact that his potential had been stimulated once again, Lin Feng might have been exhausted to the point of collapse. Now, although Lin Feng felt extremely tired and powerless, he was not exhausted to the point of collapsing. Ha 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 ha! Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. After scaring off the 3 sovereign emperors and the others, the holy fruits would all be his. Lin Feng walked towards the holy tree and finally arrived in front of it. There were a total of 5 fruits on the sacred tree. Now, the fruits had ripened. They emitted an enticing fruity smell. The sacred tree was extraordinary, and the sacred fruits were even more so. Lin Feng plucked all 5 sacred fruits. Then, he kept them in the mountain river ring. Next, Lin Feng began to examine the sacred tree. Lin Feng wondered if he could dig out the sacred tree and plant it in the mountain river ring. He took out a shovel and began to dig. However, the sacred tree directly shot up into the sky and tore through the void, trying to escape. Lin Feng was shocked. The power of the order laws in this distorted space was extremely strong. Cultivators would find it difficult to even use their magic power, let alone tear through the space here. However, the sacred tree could easily tear through the space here. It was truly shocking. seeing the sacred tree, trying to escape. Lin Feng grabbed the sacred tree's roots. Then, Lin Feng was brought along by the sacred tree and disappeared from this space. F***CK. Stop it. Angry shouts could be heard from the dense ancient forest from time to time. The person who was shouting was Lin Feng. Pa pa pa. The branches of the sacred tree continuously whipped towards Lin Feng. These branches were very terrifying. They were like powerful whips as they whipped Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng was covered with cuts and bruises. Right now, Lin Feng really wanted to cry but had no tears. Pa pa pa, the sacred tree clearly had a spirit. It continued to provoke Lin Feng with a new round of attacks. The power of the sacred tree's branches was too shocking. They continued to whip Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng grimaced in pain. The sacred tree's attacks were not ordinary physical attacks. There was a terrifying power contained within the sacred tree, and when the branches whipped out, Yi Zichen was shocked. This terrifying power would also surge out at the same time. Then, it would cause serious damage to the person who was hit. I'll seal. Lin Feng endured the pain. He was determined to seal the sacred tree, and then plant it in the mountain river ring. However, Lin Feng tried to use various methods to seal the sacred tree. In the end, it all ended in failure. This made Lin Feng incomparably depressed. In the end, the sacred tree sent Lin Feng flying. Then, it quickly disappeared into the dense forest. Lin Feng helplessly smiled bitterly. Then, he lay in the forest and gasped for breath. A slight rustling sound could be heard. A black python that was more than 10 meters long was lurking towards Lin Feng. This was a demon python. It was very terrifying. It was very good at sneak attacking prey. When it was more than 20 meters away from Lin Feng, the demon python directly jumped out and pounced towards Lin Feng. It opened its bloody mouth and directly swallowed Lin Feng. It wanted to swallow Lin Feng in one gulp. Facing the demon python's attack, Lin Feng's reaction was extremely fast. A sword chi slashed out. Puchi, blood splattered. The demon python's head soared into the sky. This demon python was killed by Lin Feng. Then Lin Feng kept the demon python into the mountain river ring. The demon python was very nutritious. It could be cooked into a delicacy to nourish his body. Lin Feng quickly left the place, found a quieter place, and then started a bonfire. Lin Feng made a barbecue and a snake soup. Then he made a dragon and tiger fight. The dragon and tiger fight was cooked with demon python meat and tiger meat. It looked, smelled, and was definitely a delicacy. Just as Lin Feng was about to enjoy the delicacies, his gaze looked towards the forest on the left. He vaguely felt that something was hibernating there, and that existence was looking at him. Come out! Lin Feng's sword chi swept over. It hurts, you bastard. You dare to sneak attack me. Long Outyen will tear you to pieces. Chapter 31-32. It's you. Lin Feng looked at the golden Eastern Divine Dragon in astonishment. This fellow had just broken free from the stone orb. Lin Feng had almost died in the hands of this fellow. Who would have thought that a mysterious woman of unknown origin would appear in the demonic orb? She was so strong and terrifying. She had devoured the origin energy of this Eastern Divine Dragon completely. This Eastern Divine Dragon's strength had decreased tremendously. His body had shrunk to about 1 meter long, looking like a golden snake. He no longer had the majesty of the Eastern Divine Dragon tribe. That's right. It's the wise and mighty Master Long Outyen. Today, I've decided to take you in as my human pet. Long Outyen could not help but shout. He glared at Lin Feng fiercely. That guy probably hated Lin Feng because of what had happened in the past. Now, that Long Outyen did not have much combat strength left. So what if he was from the Eastern Divine Dragon tribe? Lin Feng was not afraid of this fellow at all. He pursed his lips and said, "You want to deal with me? With that little strength of yours? You couldn't even deal with me when you were released, let alone now. Now, scram as far as you can. Otherwise, believe it or not, there will be a fried Eastern Divine Dragon delicacy on yours truly's table today." Long Outyen began to curse. Originally, Long Outyen, thought that I was already good at bragging. Who would have thought that I would pale in comparison to you? Back then, Long Outyen, could have killed you with a single claw. If it weren't for the woman in the demonic orb, do you think you would have survived until now? How dare you say that Master Long Outyen couldn't even deal with you when I was released? You can't be so shameless. Lin Feng said calmly, "I'm the master of the demonic orb. Everything in the demonic orb belongs to me, including that woman. She belongs to me. Shameless people are invincible. I've never seen someone as shameless as you." Long Outyen looked at Lin Feng with disdain. "You're the shameless one. Your whole family is shameless." Lin Feng retorted. "Kid, be a good boy and be my human pet," shouted Long Aotian furiously. He threw himself at Lin Feng. The divine dragon swings its tail. Next, Long Outyen's tail whipped towards Lin Feng. This guy seemed to have recovered some of his strength recently. That was why he dared to seek revenge on Lin Feng. "Since you want to die, I'll blow you up today." Lin Feng couldn't help but snort. Immediately after, he threw a punch at Long Outyen. Bam! The two sides collided fiercely. Long Outyen was extremely powerful. After all, he was the Eastern Dragon God. The physical body of the Dragon clan was the strongest among all the clans. Moreover, the Eastern Divine Dragon was a top-notch existence within the Dragon tribe. Therefore, it was obvious how strong Long Outyen's physical body was. However, when Long Outyen and Lin Feng collided, Long Outyen was sent flying by Lin Feng. "Ah, my tail! My tail is about to be broken. You little bastard! How can you be so strong?" Long Outyen immediately started cursing out loud. "Your mouth stinks. Take another punch from me." Lin Feng snorted and continued to step forward. He threw a punch at Long Outyen. Divine Dragon Claw. Long Outyen roared and stretched out his dragon claw. He wanted to block Lin Feng's attack. The two sides collided again. However, this time, Long Outyen still couldn't fight against Lin Feng. Long Outyen was sent flying by Lin Feng again. "I'll be back soon." After being sent flying by Lin Feng for the second time, Long Outyen wanted to escape. This guy was obviously not convinced. Before he left, he didn't forget to threaten Lin Feng. "You can't escape." Lin Feng snorted and quickly chased after Long Outyen. He then used the black tortoise hunchback tablet painting to suppress Long Outyen. Long Outyen had lost his magic power. He couldn't fight against Lin Feng's divine ability. He was suppressed in midair. "Let me go! Let me go! You bastard! If my origin energy hadn't been devoured by that woman, do you think you can jump around in front of me? If you dare to jump around, Long Outyen would have smashed you into a pile of meat paste." Long Outyen couldn't help but roar in anger. He was extremely dissatisfied after being suppressed by Lin Feng. Lin Feng said calmly, "A hero doesn't talk about his past achievements. A fallen phoenix is worse than a chicken. So, let's not talk about what happened in the past." Lin Feng tied Long Outyen to a metal rod used for barbecuing and placed him over the fire to roast. "How dare you roast me? I'm not done with you." Long Outyen was so angry that he glared at Lin Feng. He glared at Lin Feng fiercely. He wanted to pounce on Lin Feng and bite him to death. Lin Feng took out various spices and sprinkled them on Long Outyen's body. He said, "I wanted to fry you, but you're just skin and bones. There's not much meat left. Let's not waste the oil and just roast you." When he heard that, Long Outyen was so upset that he almost vomited blood. He was the Eastern Divine Dragon. He was high and mighty. He was the Eastern Divine Dragon. In Lin Feng's eyes, using a pot to fry him was a waste of oil. Long Outyen's 3 corpse gods flew into a rage. He kept struggling, trying to break free from his restraints. However, he tried many times. Every time, he failed. After roasting him for a long time, Lin Feng realized that Long Outyen seemed to be fine. "Hey, although you're just skin and bones, your skin is very thick. Why is it so difficult to roast you?" Lin Feng could not help but grumble. Long Outyen said proudly, "Are you blind? Master Long Outyen is an Eastern dragon god. I'm from an incomparably noble race. I can swallow fire and spit out water. How can this kind of ordinary fire hurt me?" Long Outyen had an arrogant look on his face. It was as if he was certain that Lin Feng could not hurt him at all. Hence, he looked at Lin Feng with disdain. "Kid, if you know what's good for you, you'd better let me go. Then kneel down and swear to become my human pet. Otherwise, when I recover my magic power, you'll die a horrible death." Long Outyen said viciously. Lin Feng pursed his lips. "Don't get too cocky. Ordinary fire couldn't hurt you. I wonder if heavenly fire can roast you?" Chapter 31:33. God-devouring black flame. That's the 8th-ranked heavenly flame. It's a powerful heavenly flame controlled by the heavenly demon emperor. How did it end up in your hands? Long Outyen exclaimed in shock when he saw the god-devouring black flame that Lin Feng had brought out. Lin Feng was surprised that Long Outyen knew the heavenly demon emperor. Could he be an expert from the same era as the heavenly demon emperor? Lin Feng said calmly, "I killed the heavenly demon emperor's son and snatched the god-devouring black flame from him." "You killed the heavenly demon emperor's son?" Long Outyen was shocked. Then he burst out laughing. "That son of a bitch left the god-devouring black flame to his son. Looks like that son of a bitch is definitely dead. This is retribution. This is truly retribution." Seeing Long Outyen's ecstatic look, Lin Feng could not help but mutter in his heart, just what kind of heinous thing had the heavenly demon emperor done to Long Outyen back then? To think that Long Outyen would hate the heavenly demon emperor so much. Lin Feng asked, "Is there a grudge between you and the heavenly demon emperor?" Long Outyen looked at Lin Feng arrogantly and said, "Don't ask about things that you shouldn't know. There are some things that you don't have the right to know." Long Outyen seemed to have forgotten that he was just a prisoner. That arrogant attitude of his made Lin Feng extremely unhappy. Lin Feng could not be bothered with Long Outyen anymore. He directly activated the god-devouring black flame. Then he used the god-devouring black flame to burn Long Outyen's body. "Arg! It's burning me! It's burning me! Stop!" Long Outyen screamed. However, from the looks of it, he was completely fine. "I told you to stop. Didn't you hear me? You're burning me to death. I'm about to be roasted." Long Outyen could not help but roar angrily. His eyes were spitting fire. Lin Feng said indifferently, "Put your sister out. I want to eat roasted dragon meat. It must taste good. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. In the past, the heavenly demon emperor and I were mortal enemies. You must have a deep grudge with the sky demon emperor's son, which is why you killed him, right? Come to think of it, there's still a deep relationship between us. With such a relationship, we should live in harmony and not fight and kill. Long Out Yin continued to shout. This guy was really shameless. In order to escape. Now, he was trying to establish a relationship with Lin Feng. Lin Feng curled his lips and said, "Come on. If you have the strength, you might as well breathe more of the fresh air in this world, because this will be the last time you breathe in this world." Long Out Yin had a glib tongue. Lin Feng didn't care at all. He continued to use the black flame god-devouring fire to burn Long Out Yin. However, Lin Feng soon discovered that something was wrong. Even though Long Out Yin had been screaming the entire time, listen to the voice. It was incomparably mournful. It was extremely tragic. However, in reality, Long Out Yin wasn't injured at all. "Damn it! Stop screaming. I didn't hurt you at all. What are you screaming for?" Lin Feng looked at Long Out Yin speechlessly. Long Out Yin's body was so tough that even Lin Feng was shocked. It was unimaginable how strong Long Out Yin had been in the past. Long Out Yin had lost all his magic power. However, his physical body was still strong and hadn't weakened. "Let's see if you scream when I burn you with heavenly fire." Long Out Yin glared at Lin Feng fiercely. Lin Feng removed the iron rod that bound Long Out Yin and took out the stone sword. Lin Feng grinned and said, "Heavenly fire can't burn you to death. I wonder if the stone sword can kill you." Long Out Yin's face turned green when he saw the stone sword. "If you can't kill me, I'll take you as my human pet sooner or later." Long Out Yin said fiercely. Lin Feng couldn't help but shout coldly. Then he swung the stone sword at Long Out Yin. Clang, 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 sword after sword slashed on Long Out Yin's body. However, it was as if it had struck an incomparably hard metal. It actually produced a series of clanging sounds. "It hurts so much. Ouch, it hurts. Hurry up and stop. If you continue, you'll really kill someone." Long Out Yin screamed again and again. Although this guy was shouting very loudly, he didn't suffer any injuries. This made Lin Feng extremely speechless and helpless. This guy's body was too hard. It was so hard that it was unbelievable. He slashed at Long Out Yin's body dozens of times, but he still could not cut him open. Lin Feng simply stopped. Huff, 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 huff. He breathed heavily and was panting from exhaustion. F***CK, what is your body made of? Why is it so hard? Lin Feng looked at Long Out Yin gloomily. Master Long has an immortal and indestructible body. Naturally, you won't be able to harm me, Long Out Yin said proudly. If I can't kill you, I'll seal you again. When the era is destroyed, you'll be destroyed along with the era. At that time, we'll see if you're still an indestructible existence. Lin Feng could not help but pout. F***CK, how can you do such a thing? You're a demon. A complete demon. Long Out Yin could not help but glare at Lin Feng fiercely. Of course, you can also use some treasures or secrets in exchange for your freedom. Lin Feng said indifferently. I just escaped. What treasures do I have? Long Out Yin could not help but roll his eyes. Then use your secrets in exchange for your freedom. You'll have to answer whatever I ask you. Lin Feng said. Ask away. Long Out Yin said. Long Out Yin chose to give in. It was because he did not want to be suppressed anymore. The days of darkness had driven Long Out Yin crazy. Who sealed you? Lin Feng asked. A bunch of old farts. Long Out Yin immediately gnashed his teeth in hatred. Lin Feng and Long Out Yin talked in detail for a while before learning how Long Out Yin had been sealed back then. The legend of Dragon Knights had a long history. Many people wanted to become Dragon Knights. It was not just because Dragon Knights were more domineering. There was another reason. Dragons were powerful, and could help their masters fight enemies when a war broke out. Eastern divine dragons were extremely rare since ancient times. Long Outyen was being targeted by someone. There were a few terrifying beings who wanted to tame Long Outyen and make him their mount. Long Outyen was naturally no match for those old antiques, so he was suppressed by them. Those old antiques could not agree, and no one could convince the other. Thus, those old antiques temporarily sealed Long Outyen in a stone ball. They wanted to wait until the victor was determined to subdue Long Outyen as their mount. Who would have thought that after countless years, those old antiques would not appear again? Chapter 3134. Lin Feng hadn't thought Long Aotian would have such a difficult life. Lin Feng didn't know if Long Aotian had become insane because he had been oppressed for so many years. Maybe it was because he had been oppressed for so many years that he had become like that. Lin Feng asked Long Outyen many more things and learned many secrets from him. Lin Feng found out a lot. Of course, Lin Feng didn't forget to ask Long Aotian about Lulan Island. Since Long Aotian had been imprisoned in Lulan Island, he probably knew a lot about Lulan Island and Lulan City. Long Outyen said, Lulan Island is where the Lulan tribe lives, but not their ancestral ground. The ancient city is their ancestral ground. Lin Feng was shocked to hear this. Lin Feng had heard many rumors about the ancient city before. Now, he could finally confirm the authenticity of these rumors. It seemed that all the other rumors were false. The one about the ancient city being related to the Lulan tribe was true. So there really was a Lulan tribe in history. Long Outyen continued, Lulan Island is where the people of the Lulan tribe lived and thrived. Naturally, there are many treasures here. However, the most heaven-defying treasures are not kept here. They are kept in the ancestral land. Rumor has it that the ancestral land of the Lulan tribe contains many amazing treasures. For example, there are materials to forge weapons. There are even ancient weapons. Rumor has it that the ancient city of Lulan contains the legendary heaven-shaking stone tablet, the immortal elixir, and so on. What? Is this rumor true? Lin Feng couldn't help but look astonished. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. This was too shocking. Just how many supreme treasures did the Lulan tribe collect? This was truly shocking. People couldn't help but feel that this was unimaginable. Of course it's true. Years ago, I secretly entered the ancient city of Lulan and wanted to take something out, but I was discovered. Long Outyen said. He gritted his teeth and continued. The old ancestor of the Lulan tribe was the first old fart who wanted to suppress me and make me his mount. During the battle with this old fart, a few other old farts were attracted. That period of history was like a nightmare to Long Outyen. He didn't want to think about it anymore. Long Outyen was very depressed. Every time he thought about it, he would still grit his teeth. He was mad with hatred that history was unbearable to think about. So you don't know about the destruction of the Lulan tribe and many other things that happened after that? Lin Feng frowned. Long Outyen nodded. I really don't know about what happened after the suppression. Something must have happened back then. The ancient city of Lulan had mysteriously disappeared. This period of history had become a mystery. It was just as Long Outyen had said. Something shocking must have happened back then. However, he did not know how many secrets were buried in that incident. Looking back, the world had changed when Long Outyen was born, and the world had changed. When he first came out, Long Outyen was still yelling about finding those old farts for revenge. However, he was no longer yelling about it. That was because, after so many years, those who suppressed him might have died long ago. There are wars in every era, whether it's because of conflicts of interest or because of invasions from other realms. Too much history has been hidden, and there's no way to find out. Lin Feng frowned. It could be said that this was truly a pity. Lin Feng continued. You must have been to Lulon Island back then, right? You should know what treasures there are on Lulon Island, right? Long Outyen said, This is the Lulon tribe's land. Many of their experts lived here. I don't know what treasures there are because the Lulon tribe doesn't have much contact with the outside world. This tribe is full of mysteries. Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes at Long Outyen's words. He couldn't find out what he wanted to know from Long Outyen. For example, the whereabouts of some supreme treasures or some legacy. How much do you know about the Lulon tribe? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. The Lulon tribe, this powerful and terrifying race, was definitely a race that was terrifying to the point that it would shock anyone. In the past, they were incomparably powerful and glorious, but now they were only legends. It was almost impossible for people of the future to know more about this tribe. The origin of this tribe is very mysterious. Back then, some said that this tribe was related to an extremely ancient Scientian life form. Others said that this tribe was a mysterious tribe born after the beginning of time. Even then, the Lulon tribe was shrouded in a veil of mystery. I don't know when it started, but rumors about the Lulon clan began to spread in the universe. Many people knew about the legend of the ancient city of Lulon, and they also knew that there were countless treasures in the ancient city. As the saying goes, a man's wealth is his own ruin. The Lulon tribe had so many treasures, so it was natural that many powerful factions would want to know more about them. Thus, more than one faction made a move against the Lulon tribe. However, those factions didn't end well. They were all destroyed by the Lulon tribe. Long Outyen began to talk about the history of the Lulon tribe. After hearing this, Lin Feng was shocked. Perhaps the Lulon tribe was much more powerful than he had imagined. Lin Feng couldn't help but ask, such a powerful tribe, how many people do they have? There aren't many people in the Lulon tribe. Perhaps it's because their bloodline is too powerful, so it's difficult for them to produce offspring. However, this tribe searched everywhere for children with outstanding talents and nurtured them from a young age. Many geniuses rose because of this and were very loyal to this tribe. If they were especially powerful and talented, they could even marry into the Lulon tribe. Marriage was a very common thing. When two extremely powerful bloodlines were married, the children born from the marriage might be even more powerful. This was the so-called twin bloodlines. Thus, some ancient tribes were extremely fond of marriage. Actually, the destruction of the Lulon tribe was within expectations. Too many people were spying on the ancient city of Lulon. It would be strange if they weren't destroyed. Chapter 31-35. Lin Feng said, So, you think that Lulon's destruction was caused by some top factions in the universe coveting their treasures? Long Outyen nodded and said, There is indeed such a possibility. In the past, too many forces coveted the treasures of the Lulon family. That time, I secretly infiltrated the ancient city of Lulon. In fact, I was not alone. There were many experts from other forces. However, those experts were all killed. Perhaps because I am an Eastern dragon god, I was not killed. If that's the case, doesn't that mean that the treasures in Lulon City have already been looted by those ancient factions? Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. If that was the case, then what was the point of finding Lulon City? They would still not be able to get anything. Long Outyen said, That's not necessarily the case. Lulon is a terrifying race. They've been scheming for ages. Moreover, Lulon City is very strange. It has always been traveling through parallel universes without a fixed location. Even if Lulon is destroyed, others might not be able to find its location. Lin Feng stroked his chin and said, I heard that there's a way to enter Lulan City on Lulan Island. Long Outyen said. Perhaps there are some tokens that can be used to enter Lulan City. Lin Feng and Long Outyen chatted for a long time until Lin Feng felt that he could no longer get any more secrets out of Long Outyen. Only then did he decide to let Long Outyen go. Hurry up and leave. I won't make things difficult for you, but don't think of causing trouble for me again. I have a bad temper. If you dare to provoke me again, I don't know what I'll do to you. Lin Feng threatened Long Outyen. Long Outyen, however, refused to leave shamelessly. His eyes were fixed on the food in front of him. Long Outyen jumped out and took a big bite of the roasted meat. Then he began to eat as if there was no one else around. No one would doubt that he was the reincarnation of a hungry ghost. Hurry up and scram once you're done eating, Lin Feng said. Long Outyen replied to Lin Feng in a muffled voice as he chewed on the meat. Lin Feng didn't hear what this guy said clearly. After enjoying these delicacies, Lin Feng, on the other hand, planned to find a place to go into seclusion. He still had 5 holy fruits that he had obtained not too long ago. Lin Feng planned to refine the 5 holy fruits. Then he would raise his cultivation base. 5 saint fruits were extraordinary. He wondered how many levels he would be able to raise. TSK. Little brat will definitely be able to display our might when we combine our swords. Long Outyen was practically standing beside Lin Feng. Then he shook his head and started talking. Naturally, Lin Feng did not believe Long Outyen's nonsense. Long Outyen must have a lot of anger in his heart. If he cooperated with him, he might be betrayed. Lin Feng increased his speed in an attempt to shake Long Outyen off. Slow down a bit. Let's sit down and talk about our cooperation. Long Outyen couldn't help but shout. He quickly chased after Lin Feng, but in the end, he was shaken off by Lin Feng. After shaking off Long Outyen, Lin Feng found a secluded cave and sealed it with a restriction. Then he sat down cross-legged in the cave. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Bibi, who had been sleeping for a long time, woke up temporarily. It was at a crucial moment in its evolution and spent most of its time sleeping. Every time it woke up, it would be to eat. As expected, it was the same this time. After waking up, Bibi ate a large amount of precious spirit fruits before falling asleep again. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. This little guy had always been so cute. Bibi's evolution path was very difficult. That was because Bibi's race was too strong. However, until now, Lin Feng still didn't know what race Bibi was. Lin Feng took out 5 sacred fruits. These 5 sacred fruits were all green in color, and they weren't big. They were about half the size of a fist. Surrounded by sacred light, they emitted a refreshing fruity fragrance. Just a whiff of it would make one feel refreshed. Lin Feng quickly ate the 5 sacred fruits. The sacred fruits were very sweet and delicious. However, this wasn't what Lin Feng was concerned about. Lin Feng was more concerned about the effects of these sacred fruits. Now, Lin Feng's cultivation level had stopped at the 55th step. Now, it was about the mid-level boundary emperor. It was too difficult for Lin Feng to break through. However, with the help of these treasures, it could greatly reduce the time needed to break through. After eating the 5 sacred fruits, Lin Feng began to use the archaic dragonesque elephant art to refine the power of the 5 sacred fruits. The 5 sacred fruits gradually disintegrated into the purest form of energy. This energy was then gradually absorbed by Lin Feng's body. After the powerful energy was absorbed by Lin Feng's body, Lin Feng's cultivation base also began to steadily increase. Soon, he rose from the 55th step to the 56th step. Soon, he reached the 57th step. In the end, Lin Feng's cultivation base stopped at the 62nd step. The power contained within the sacred fruits was simply too astonishing. The 5 sacred fruits allowed Lin Feng to increase his cultivation base by a total of 7 levels. This made Lin Feng extremely excited. His combat prowess had increased by such a large margin. This was simply too difficult. After coming out of seclusion, Lin Feng continued toward the depths of Lulan Island. Lin Feng was still wondering if he would be able to meet Feng Yaorao on Lulan Island. He didn't know what Feng Yaorao's father, the heavenly wind god, had obtained from Lulan Island. Lin Feng had a feeling that if someone could find a way to enter the ancient city of Lulan, then that person would definitely be the heavenly wind god. Lin Feng had always been extremely confident in his judgment. This time was no exception. Of course, Lin Feng would only know if this was the case after meeting the heavenly wind god. That night, Long Outyin showed up again. "Why are you here again?" Lin Feng looked at Long Outyin with a speechless expression. He didn't want to have anything to do with Long Outyin. This was because Lin Feng felt like Long Outyin was a very unreliable divine dragon. Furthermore, Lin Feng had a feeling that Long Outyin was going to set him up at a critical moment. After all, there was a grudge between them. Long Outyin didn't seem like someone who would be able to set aside all grudges in a short period of time. "Hee, I'm here to collaborate with you. Don't be in a hurry to turn me down." Long Outyin spoke in a calm voice. "Not interested," Lin Feng replied, and kicked Long Outyin flying. Chapter 31-36. Damned bastard. Long Outyin, am going to tear you to shreds." Long Outyin rushed out of the forest and roared furiously. By the time he reached the place where Lin Feng was, Lin Feng had already disappeared without a trace. "I'll chase," Long Outyin couldn't help but shout. He chose a direction and quickly gave chase. 3 days later, Lin Feng saw a female cultivator fly past. When he saw her, Lin Feng quickly hid himself completely. The female cultivator was none other than the Sacred God Clan's empress, Sheng Churu. This woman was very charming. She was an extremely beautiful young married woman. She was extremely powerful. She was such a powerful woman, and also so beautiful, it was easy for people to have the idea of conquering her. Even Lin Feng had such thoughts. However, Sheng Churu was too powerful now. Lin Feng didn't have the strength to conquer her. She was an empress. Such an existence was an overlord of the universe. Even in the Sacred God Clan, there weren't many experts of this level. Sheng Churu was injured previously. Looking at her complexion, now, her injuries should be recovering well, right? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. Sheng Churu seemed to be in a hurry. She seemed to have something urgent. Perhaps she had received news of some secret treasure and was rushing to the place where it was located. Although Lin Feng was very curious, he didn't follow Sheng Churu. If Sheng Churu saw him on the way, the consequences would be disastrous. Lin Feng didn't believe that Sheng Churu would let him go. After Sheng Churu left, Lin Feng walked out of his hiding place. This woman was probably a goddess in the hearts of countless people in the past, right? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter. In every era, there would be a few publicly recognized goddesses. These goddesses didn't just have peerless looks. At the same time, they were also extremely powerful. They were of noble birth and had astonishing talent. Of course, it wasn't that there weren't commoner goddesses. However, it was indeed very difficult for top-notch geniuses to appear in those ordinary forces. There were so many beautiful women. It wasn't that beautiful women would be sought after by others. Only those beautiful, noble, powerful, and talented female cultivators would be sought after by countless cultivators and become goddesses. He was admired and loved by countless people. She had countless suitors or escorts, regardless of which aspect one looked at it from. Shang Churu in the past fulfilled these conditions. If I can get a female sovereign emperor as my slave, that would be pretty good too. Yi Fuqian murmured. Lin Feng couldn't help but murmur to himself when he had that idea. It was as if a ball of fire was burning in his heart. That clump of flames wanted to be extinguished, but it was unable to. Lin Feng temporarily put aside the evil thoughts in his heart. He didn't stop and continued to walk deeper. That night, an earth-shaking roar came from the depths of the forest. It was a ferocious beast, roaring furiously. Countless cultivators were alarmed and looked in the direction of the forest. Lin Feng was no exception. He was also alarmed and looked in the direction of the forest. Suddenly, Lin Feng saw a huge monster. It was a giant ape. It was covered in pitch-black hair and was about 1,000 meters tall. Titan! Lin Feng was very shocked. It was actually a titan. This was an extremely rare race and was abnormally terrifying. Nowadays, Titan was extremely rare and had long disappeared from the outside world. Only in some secret places could one see the figure of this kind of creature. It's not a Titan, it's a King Kong. The demon lord said. King Kong? Lin Feng was shocked. This was the first time he had heard of this race. It looks very similar to a Titan. What's the difference? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. They both belong to the ape race, and they are the most powerful ape race. If there's a difference, it might be the difference in bloodline. The Titan's bloodline is the golden Titan's sacred blood, so the Titan's hair is golden. The King Kong's bloodline is the King Kong's undying sacred blood, and its hair is black. These two terrifying apes are abnormally heaven-defying, but the King Kong might be more powerful when combined. This is because the King Kong's undying sacred blood is very similar to your immortal bloodline. It has the ability to be immortal. Even if it's injured, it can recover at the fastest speed. The Demon Lord couldn't help but say, after hearing the Demon Lord's words, Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. The King Kong's bloodline had an ability similar to the immortal bloodline. It was really extraordinary. Roar, roar, roar. The huge King Kong kept roaring. Lin Feng saw from afar that there were more than a dozen great emperors besieging the King Kong. The King Kong was fighting with more than a dozen great emperors. It seemed to be guarding something important, so it didn't leave. Lin Feng was very surprised. He quickly flew in the direction of the battle. When he arrived at the battlefield, there was already a large number of cultivators gathered here. Naturally, many cultivators came here to watch the show. Everyone was scattered in all directions, watching this battle of the pinnacle. More than a dozen great emperors were abnormally terrifying. Moreover, there were a few imperial emperors. Previously, Lin Feng saw the female King Kongs, Shang Churu, in a hurry. Now, Shang Churu also appeared here. In addition to Shang Churu, Old Man Inemo and Huang Ba Shun, who Lin Feng had seen before, also came here and participated in this battle. Among the dozen great emperors, the most powerful one wasn't these three imperial emperors, but another person. That cultivator was surrounded by endless immortal light. He was like a banished immortal who had descended to the world. That cultivator's temperament was really extraordinary. Lin Feng heard people talking about that cultivator. That cultivator was from the immortal god clan called Xian Wu Dao. Xian Wu Dao had cultivated for 5,324 years. However, it was said that his cultivation had reached the peak of the imperial emperor realm. How peerless and terrifying. Xian Wu Dao's lifespan was at least 50 million years. However, he had only lived for a little more than 5,000 years. More than 5,000 years. It was really in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye. Therefore, Xian Wudao's future was simply limitless. These experts besieged the powerful King Kong. Lin Feng also saw what the King Kong was protecting. The King Kong was actually protecting a holy flower. The holy flower was surrounded by endless holy light, emitting waves of shocking waves. Chapter 31:37. A holy flower took root in the void, giving birth to a powerful life. It looked like a holy flower that only appeared in myths and legends. It was an azure holy flower. No one knew what species it was. The energy waves it emitted were getting stronger and stronger. Such a holy flower was simply too extraordinary. It attracted too many people's attention. These emperor-level experts were all attracted by the holy flower. They wanted the holy flower, so they all attacked King Kong. Lulan Island was indeed extraordinary. There were countless opportunities. A holy tree had appeared before, and now a holy flower had appeared. Each had its own merits. They were all rare treasures. Of course, if they were to be broken down, the holy flower in front of them was obviously more valuable, because this holy flower gave birth to life. This was an extremely shocking matter. What was the life inside the holy flower? Could it be a Holy Spirit? This was very likely. In the past, Lin Feng had seen the birth of a female Holy Spirit. That was truly a peerless and invincible expert who could compete with her in all the heavens. Therefore, once a Holy Spirit was born, it would be an extremely terrifying thing. This matter would shock countless people. Many people had their eyes on the holy flower because they suspected this. If the holy flower really gave birth to a Holy Spirit, then before the Holy Spirit was born, it would be the only chance to refine the Holy Spirit into an avatar. There was a rumor that a cultivator had obtained a Holy Spirit that had never been born, and then refined the Holy Spirit into an avatar. After that, he was invincible. When the time came, the Holy Spirit avatar could cultivate on its own. Until a certain level, the cultivator who refined the Holy Spirit would completely merge his soul with the Holy Spirit's body. Then he would abandon his original body. This was a very important point for cultivators. If their souls could perfectly fuse together, there would be no rejection. Refining other avatars, there might be some rejection, but refining a Holy Spirit basically wouldn't cause any rejection. This was also the reason why countless experts coveted the Holy Spirit. Ocean overflows the sky. 10,000 miles rolling waves. Star God invincible. Galaxy reversal. Topple the mountains and overturned the seas. Heaven and earth reversal. Universe collapses. Myriad divine fist. And so on. Powerful divine abilities were displayed by the great emperors and launched wave after wave of attacks on the powerful Vajra. Every single divine ability was profound and unfathomable, containing the power to destroy heaven and earth. People couldn't help but be shocked. With so many powerful divine abilities unleashed at the same time, the power was simply too terrifying. Even an imperial emperor wouldn't be able to withstand the attacks of so many experts. Vajra roared and swept his fists in all directions. It was extremely strenuous for him to resist the attacks of more than a dozen powerhouses by himself. Puff! The sound of flesh tearing could be heard. King Kong's body was torn apart. "He's injured," the spectating cultivators couldn't help but exclaim. Previously, King Kong had unleashed a shocking and powerful battle prowess. He had been contending with more than a dozen great emperors. But in the end, they were still outnumbered. No matter how powerful a person's battle prowess was, there was no way it could withstand the continuous attacks of so many experts, each wave stronger than the last. He was as powerful as King Kong. Now, he was showing signs of fatigue, revealing his weaknesses. Many wounds appeared on his body, and blood immediately flowed out. Roar! King Kong stood up straight and pounded his chest with both fists, letting out an angry roar. His eyes were filled with flames of anger. Now, King Kong was incomparably furious, and his killing intent was monstrous. He was using this method to intimidate the surrounding great emperors. Leave quickly, and we can still spare your life. Don't seek your own death. Xian Wudao said, with an indifferent expression. These great emperors besieging King Kong didn't want to fight to the death with him, because King Kong was too powerful. Although more than a dozen great emperors were confident that they could kill King Kong if they joined forces, who knew what would happen later. They naturally wanted to use the most reliable and safest method to scare King Kong away. Moreover, these people were very afraid of this Vajra. If this Vajra fought back before it died, it would be very dangerous. Perhaps some of them would be killed by King Kong. Roar! King Kong roared angrily. He seemed to be warning these great emperors to let them leave. You refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Then only death awaits you. Huang Bashan's gaze was cold, and his killing intent was awe-inspiring. They already had the intention to kill King Kong. Since this King Kong is so stubborn, let's kill him. But everyone must be careful. This King Kong is very powerful. We need to be more vigilant. Sheng Churu said. This woman was very cautious. Okay, the others nodded. Boom, boom, boom. Next, an even more terrifying aura spread out. These people took out their own Dharma treasures. They hadn't used their Dharma treasures before. Now that King Kong was injured, they took out their Dharma treasures and were about to erupt with their strongest combat strength. One by one, the powerful Dharma treasures emitted a shockwave that made people turn pale. Each Dharma treasure had an extraordinary origin. Some took out monarch weapons, some took out bronze weapons, and some even took out forbidden weapons. All kinds of magic treasures were unleashed, causing others to be aghast. All kinds of attacks gathered together and blasted towards King Kong. Roar! King Kong roared and swung his fist at the Dharma treasures. Puff, puff, puff. The sound of his body being torn apart rang out one after another. After this wave of attacks, more than a dozen huge wounds appeared on King Kong's body, and blood gushed out. King Kong was seriously injured. However, King Kong still had no intention of leaving. His willpower was very strong. Although his body was constantly trembling, he struggled to stand up. He was protecting the holy flower. For the holy flower, he was even willing to give up his life. Stupid gorilla, some great emperor-level powerhouses looked indifferent. In the eyes of many, nothing was more important than their own life. Not to mention the holy flower. They could even give up the life of their loved ones at a critical moment. Many people had such thoughts, but King Kong was fighting to the death here to protect the holy flower. This action made them feel very stupid and ridiculous. However, there were also quite a few people who were moved. They were moved by King Kong's persistence. Lin Feng sighed. King Kong couldn't resist the siege of these great emperor-level cultivators at all. He was probably going to die here today. Boom! More than a dozen great emperors attacked again. Powerful Dharma treasures blasted towards King Kong. King Kong roared to the sky and swept his fists at the Dharma treasures one after another. This time, King Kong suffered even more serious injuries. An emperor's sword streaked across the void and almost cut off King Kong's head. Chapter 31-38. Roar! Vajra roared and grabbed the imperial sword. Then he threw the imperial sword away. If he hadn't grabbed the imperial sword at the critical moment, his head would have been chopped off by the imperial sword. Half of Vajra's head was chopped off. There were so many wounds on his body. His entire body was covered in blood. It was too tragic. Many people were moved. Such a scene was really bloody, especially some female cultivators. When they saw such a scene, they couldn't bear to continue watching. Prevent him from self-destructing. Don't get too close. Immortal Wu Dao said. He thought of all the consequences. If an existence like Vajra wanted to self-destruct to drag a few people down with him, it was very possible. Therefore, they had to be on guard, as long as they took all the precautions. So what if Vajra was strong? It wouldn't be easy for him to drag them down with him. Sob, sob, sob. Sobbing sounds came from the sacred flower. It was a clear and pleasant sobbing sound. It sounded like the sobbing of a 3 or 4-year-old girl. It really gave birth to a sacred spirit, and she's still young. Many people exclaimed. The eyes of the great emperors lit up. The sacred flower had given birth to a sacred spirit. It was just as they had guessed. And this sacred spirit was still young. It was the best opportunity to blood bond with the sacred spirit, if they waited until the sacred spirit grew up. Just like the female sacred spirit that was born before, with such terrifying strength, they wanted to blood bond with her to become an avatar. The difficulty level, naturally, it would be greatly improved, confirmed the sacred spirit's existence. These people won't give up so easily. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. These cultivators were all filled with killing intent. They definitely wouldn't give up so easily. Lin Feng didn't think that Vajra could leave with the sacred flower. If he could, he would have left with the sacred flower long ago. He wouldn't have waited until now. Therefore, the outcome of this battle was likely to be Vajra's death. The sacred flower would be snatched away by one of the great emperors. Kill. When they heard the sobbing of the little girl in the sacred flower, the killing intent in the hearts of the group of great emperors grew even stronger. They launched a new round of attacks on Vajra. Vajra's sacred fist. Suddenly, at this time, King Kong let out a low roar. He threw out a punch. Endless, holy light surged out. It condensed into a dazzling and powerful fist radiance. The power of that fist was simply too strong. It should be one of King Kong's ultimate moves. The fist aura blasted away powerful magic treasures, one after another. Meanwhile, the fist radiance enveloped everyone and forced all the great emperors back. Some of the weaker great emperors even spat out blood from the impact of the fist radiance. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper. King Kong grabbed the holy flower and quickly rushed into the distance. He ran in the forest, and as he ran, the earth shook violently. Now, King Kong's injuries were very serious. If it wasn't for his body's self-healing ability, he might not have been able to hold on. However, even though he had the ability to heal himself, he had lost too much blood and continued fighting. King Kong was also very weak now. In particular, the Vajra Holy Fist just now had consumed a lot of Vajra's energy. Lin Feng had a feeling. After the punch just now, King Kong's aura had withered a lot. Such a move could only be used when he was in a desperate situation. At the beginning of the battle, everyone was in their peak condition. Even if they used such a powerful move, it would be easily neutralized by the opponent. As for themselves, because they used such a powerful move right from the start, their combat power had decreased greatly. This made it easier for the opponent to kill them. You can't escape. The dozens of great emperors looked gloomy, especially those great emperors who were injured. They were filled with killing intent and couldn't wait to cut King Kong into pieces. Boom, boom, boom. These great emperors immediately took out their Dharma treasures and attacked Kong Kim with all their might. Facing the attacks of these powerful magic treasures, King Kong swung his fist, but only a portion of the magic treasures were sent flying. There were still a few powerful magic treasures that landed on King Kong's back. In an instant, it was a mess of flesh and blood. King Kong was sent flying and fell to the ground with a thud. The earth shook violently. Sob, sob, sob. Brother King Kong, get up! Brother King Kong, get up! Don't care about Shaolin anymore. Brother King Kong, get up quickly and leave this place. Cries could be heard coming from the holy flower. It was the voice of the little girl, just now. King Kong tried to get up, but he tried several times. He couldn't get up again. King Kong is dead for sure. It's a race that has long disappeared in the outside world. It's hard to find them now. Now that King Kong is about to die. This race might go extinct because of this. A cultivator lamented. But this was the cruelty of the world of cultivators. Countless living beings were killed every day. It was unknown how many races had been wiped out. Who can help us? I beg you, please help us, okay? The little girl in the holy flower begged. She hoped that someone would lend a helping hand and save them at this time. But who would dare to help at this time? There were dozens of great emperors. Each of them was extremely powerful. Wouldn't it be suicide if they helped now? Go! King Kong spat out a word with difficulty. He was at the end of his rope. It was difficult for him to fight anymore. Now, he only hoped that the holy flower could leave. I want to accompany Brother King Kong. The little girl in the holy flower was sobbing. What a touching scene. A great emperor couldn't help but show a mocking expression. From his expression, he didn't feel that this matter was very touching. Now, these great emperors only had killing intent in their hearts. One great emperor after another. Their killing intent soared to the sky. Their eyes emitted a cold light. They didn't rush up immediately because King Kong wasn't dead yet. If they rushed up now and King Kong suddenly self-destructed, then most of them would die. Kill him with magic treasures. Huang Ba Shun said coldly. He planned to take out his magic treasures to kill this terrifying creature. These great emperors began to activate their magic treasures. Waves of terrifying energy waves were transmitted from their magic treasures. King Kong is going to be killed. Many people couldn't help but take a deep breath. Just as these great emperors were about to take out their magic treasures to kill King Kong, suddenly there was a flash of light above King Kong, and a young cultivator appeared. The young cultivator waved his hand and put the severely injured King Kong and the holy flower into the demon emperor's small world. Perhaps because he didn't feel any hostility from this cultivator, King Kong didn't attack. He just let this cultivator take him and the holy flower away. This cultivator was none other than King Kong. Chapter 31:39. After this happened, everyone was stunned. No one had expected something like this to happen. Someone dared to steal the prey of more than a dozen great emperors. How audacious! Plucking the fur from a tiger, stirring up the earth above its head. Wasn't this courting death? Lin Feng. He's Lin Feng, said a cultivator of the 10,000 clans when he recognized Lin Feng, grinding his teeth. What? He's Lin Feng of the human race. Many people couldn't help but exclaim. Who didn't know Lin Feng's name? Who didn't know? The number one of the younger generation of the human race. The future hope of the human race. The pillar of the younger generation of the 9 provinces. Of course, there was another identity. He was listed as the number one existence of the top 10 experts of the 9 provinces that the myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and other external forces wanted to kill. The 3 forces had even issued a bounty. It was said that if anyone could kill Lin Feng, they would be rewarded with 100 types of 3,000 great Daos, a top-grade emperor weapon, and 500,000 immortal stones. The bounty had only been issued recently. Even killing a great emperor wouldn't give such a generous reward. The 3 forces had offered such a generous reward for killing Lin Feng. From this, it could be seen. The 3 forces wanted to kill Lin Feng so badly. Now, Lin Feng had appeared, and he had stolen the prey of more than a dozen great emperors in front of all the cultivators in the world. This was simply a slap to the faces of more than a dozen great emperors. Every great emperor felt a burning sensation on their cheeks. Their expressions were extremely gloomy, and their eyes were emitting a dense, killing intent. The great emperors looked at Lin Feng as if they wanted to cut Lin Feng into pieces. Cut him into pieces. Ha 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 ha. Everyone, I'll be leaving first. Lin Feng laughed. Before the surrounding cultivators could react, he had already crushed the void teleportation talisman. Swoosh. There was a flash of light. Lin Feng was teleported out. Lin Feng brat, are you courting death? Many great emperors immediately roared in exasperation. They had gone through untold hardships to severely injure King Kong to the brink of death, but in the end, it was all for naught. How could he not feel hatred in his heart? Each and every one of them hated Lin Feng to the bone. They wished they could eat Lin Feng's flesh and drink Lin Feng's blood. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The great emperors quickly chased after Lin Feng through the void. Whoosh! With a flash of light, Lin Feng appeared 300 kilometers away. The only thing that could be confirmed was that he was still on Lulan Island. As for where it appeared, Lin Feng didn't know, because he was in a hurry at that time. Lin Feng randomly teleported in a direction. Moreover, Lin Feng wasn't familiar with Lulan Island, so he didn't know where he was. However, it was very quiet here. Lin Feng found a secluded cave and sealed the entrance with a restriction. He entered the Yao Emperor's small world. Are you all right? Lin Feng looked at King Kong and the Holy Flower. Thank you for saving us, Big Brother. The little girl's voice came from the Holy Flower. You're welcome, little sister, Lin Feng said with a smile. Lin Feng wasn't a savior, but he was a man of flesh and blood. When he saw King Kong and the little girl in the Holy Flower standing by each other's side, anyone with a bit of conscience wouldn't be able to remain unmoved. However, there were too many people. They had their misgivings. That was why they didn't dare to make a move. King Kong was very weak. He opened his eyes and looked at Lin Feng. Thank you for saving my life. I'll never forget it. I'll definitely repay you generously. When Lin Feng saved King Kong and the Holy Flower, he didn't expect them to repay him. He only saved them out of pity. However, since King Kong wanted to reward him, Lin Feng naturally wouldn't refuse. He took out a 1,000,000-year-old immortal herb and handed it to King Kong. Eat it. You'll recover faster after eating it. My race doesn't need this to recover. King Kong said. He was very stubborn. He wanted to use his own bloodline to recover. This would stimulate his bloodline and make it stronger. Lin Feng nodded. He said, you can rest here for now. You can leave when you're fully recovered. Then he left the Yao Emperor's small world and went to the outside world. The dozen or so great emperors must be frantically searching for him. Moreover, the manpower they could mobilize was too great. The myriad races, the extraterritorial races, and cultivators from other factions were definitely searching for him. Therefore, Lin Feng had been hiding there for a few days. He wanted to avoid the limelight. The Holy Flower flew out. It floated in the air. Big Brother, my name is Xiaoling. What's your name? The little girl in the Holy Flower asked. My name is Lin Feng. Lin Feng said with a smile. Can I be good friends with Big Brother in the future? The little girl was a little nervous and expectant as she asked. She was very innocent. She was very lovable. Lin Feng said with a smile. Of course you can. Big Brother likes little sister Xiaoling a lot. That night, Lin Feng suddenly had a dream. In the dream, he saw a holy flower. The Holy Flower was surrounded by holy light. It was very extraordinary. On this day, not far away, there was a huge valley. In the valley, 2 huge corpses were lying there. They were the corpses of 2 King Kong. No one knew what had happened. Two extremely powerful King Kong had died here just like that. There was also a young King Kong. That King Kong was very young and had suffered serious injuries. However, it was still on the verge of death. It had not truly died. The holy flower had a spirit. It flew over and poured down holy light. The holy light fused into the young King Kong's body. The young King Kong's injured body began to gradually recover. When the holy flower and King Kong were young, Lin Feng could not help but mutter to himself, "No wonder King Kong would rather die in battle than give up the holy flower." Their relationship was too deep. However, he did not know when the holy flower saved the young King Kong. Had the little girl been born by the holy flower? After that, the young King Kong and the holy flower lived together until Lulan Island appeared in front of the world again. When Lin Feng felt that he was about to wake up from the dream, suddenly the world in the dream changed. The world became as dark as ink and emitted a very oppressive aura. Lin Feng was astonished. He didn't know what was going to happen next. It was still the same island. Black clouds pressed down. Chapter 3140. Suddenly, a man and a woman walked over from afar. The torrential rain suddenly fell, and they braved the rain to arrive. Born with broken meridians, this is a physique that can't live past 3 years old. She has to go against the heavens and change her fate. The man said he was holding a little girl in his arms. It was a little girl who looked like she was carved from jade. She looked to be around 3 years old. Her delicate face was like a porcelain doll. She was so delicate and cute. The man who spoke looked to be around 30 years old. He was dressed in white and had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. He was extremely handsome. Beside him was a beautiful woman. That woman was so beautiful that it was suffocating. Can't we bring her with us? With our strength, we can definitely prolong Xiaoling's life. The woman said with a sorrowful expression as she gently caressed the little girl who was sleeping soundly. Her beautiful eyes were filled with reluctance. We can prolong her life for a while, but it's not a long-term solution. This place used to be the Lulan clan's land. Although it's broken now, it still has the power of the world's laws. If we leave her here, we can borrow the power of the world's laws to change her fate. The man said he was also in pain. His daughter was still so young, but she had experienced pain that other children had never experienced. Every time he saw his daughter's painful face, the man couldn't help but feel hot tears flowing out. Their daughter was very obedient. When she saw that they were still sad, she would reach out her white and tender hands and wipe away their tears. Then she would gently persuade her parents that she wasn't in pain at all and that they shouldn't worry about her. Such a lovable child was being treated unfairly by fate. We can definitely find another way. When the time comes, we can help Xiaoling live like a normal person. The woman said she couldn't bear to part with her child. There's no time. The man sighed. Hearing that, the woman's expression changed greatly. She seemed to know everything and finally nodded in agreement. The man placed the little girl in the woman's arms. Then he took out a saint flower. I hope you can communicate with the power of the world and help Xiaoling change her fate. The man prayed sincerely, someone as powerful as him. But he knelt and kowtowed to the saint flower. The saint flower bloomed on its own. The woman placed the little girl in the saint flower. The husband and wife stood beside the saint flower. They gently caressed their daughter's face. They were so reluctant, but they had to leave. Child, live well. If there comes a day when we are able to come out of that place alive, we will definitely come and find you. Don't forget us. The man said. The woman was already choking with sobs. They needed to do something they had to do. All the sages who stepped into that place. Very few people were able to make it out alive. They had no choice but to do it because they were burdened with responsibilities and missions. Child, if you don't see your mother when you wake up, don't be afraid. The holy flower will protect you. Don't blame Mother for being cruel. Mother has her own difficulties. The woman sobbed as she spoke. If people from the outside world knew that she was as powerful as she was, but now she was crying like this, perhaps no one would believe this to be true. But this was kinship, someone who could defeat existences like them. Perhaps it was only familial love. There was nothing else. In the end, the holy flower closed. It took root in the void. The man and woman left. A long time passed. They never came back. At this moment, Lin Feng opened his eyes. He sat up abruptly. Then he took a deep breath. Was that a dream, or was it real? Perhaps both were possible, but Lin Feng felt that. It wasn't a simple dream. It was very likely something that happened in the past, but it appeared in his dream. Lin Feng didn't know why he would dream of those things. Was it because of Shaoling, or was it because of the holy flower? That's right, it must be the holy flower. Lin Feng's eyes couldn't help but light up slightly. The holy flower had experienced everything, and the holy flower was extraordinary. Perhaps it could imprint many things that happened in the past. And the holy flower entered the dream and told him these things. Lin Feng's face couldn't help but reveal an extremely shocked expression. Xiao Ling wasn't a holy spirit. She had parents. It was just that in the past, because she had a broken pulse body, she couldn't live past 3 years old. That was why her parents put her here to change her fate. And her parents seemed to be shouldering some responsibilities and had to do some important things. From then on, they never came back here. Her parents, had they already died? Lin Feng felt that it might be possible. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. Why had so many years passed? Why hadn't Xiao Ling's parents appeared again? Xiao Ling would come out every day. She was very young, and it was the time when she was very active. In fact, compared to other children of similar age, she was very young. Xiao Ling was extremely quiet. Little sister Xiao Ling, do you have any other people who are especially close to you? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. Xiao Ling said, I only have big brother Jin Gang and big brother Lin Feng. Amnesia? She forgot who her parents are? Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. In the past, Xiao Ling's parents hoped to borrow the world power and the holy flower's extraordinary power to help Xiao Ling successfully change her fate. And now they had done it. Xiao Ling had obtained a new life. But Xiao Ling had forgotten who her parents were. Perhaps even Xiao Ling's parents hadn't thought of this. Xiao Ling didn't know if her parents were alive or dead, so Xiao Ling couldn't remember them. This was something worth celebrating for Xiao Ling, such a young child, if she remembered her parents, but found that they were no longer by her side, or even dead. How sad would she feel? After hiding for about 5 days, Jin Gang's body recovered. Even though Jin Gang's recovery speed wasn't as fast as Lin Feng's, Jin Gang's recovery speed was much faster than Lin Feng's. But in reality, Jin Gang's recovery speed was extremely fast. After coming out, Jin Gang's body became much smaller, and he was about 3 meters tall. We're planning to head to the space where the world power is. Come with us. Jin Gang looked at Lin Feng and said, the space where the world power is. Lin Feng's face immediately revealed an extremely shocked expression. The world power was the most mysterious and noble power in the world. If a huge world didn't have the world power, then all the plants and flowers would wither and wither. Then the flowers and trees of this world would wither, and all kinds of living beings would die. Rumor had it that if a cultivator refined the world power, their life would undergo a complete transformation. Their cultivation would also increase greatly. Lin Feng took a deep breath. Jean Gang had asked him to go to that mysterious space. Could it be that Jean Gang had tacitly allowed him to obtain the world power in that space? Chapter 3141. In a mysterious space in the depths of Lulan Island. This space was connected to the core of Lulan Island. The power of the world was pouring into this space. Lin Feng followed King Kong and Xiao Ling into this space. King Kong explained, the core of Lulan Island is very terrifying. It's said that that place is a mysterious world created by several ancestors of Lulan Island. In the past, these powerful ancestors collected a large amount of world origin and merged it into that mysterious world. The space we're in can communicate with that mysterious world. Every once in a while, the power of the world will descend into this space. The power of the world was divided into small world power, medium world power, and major world power. They were divided very carefully. Each type of power of the world was naturally different. Although the small world power was condensed and did not dissipate, it was difficult to devour. This type of power of the world was very fragile. Once it was touched, the small world power would automatically dissipate. The medium world power would complete its transformation. Moreover, after fusing with the power of order law, the power of the world at this stage could already be devoured. Moreover, the effect of the power of the world at this stage was extremely good. It could change a cultivator's life level. Once it was devoured, the cultivator's cultivation level would be greatly improved. The major world power was naturally the most precious. However, not everyone could touch the major world power. The major world power was the origin power of a world. A treasure like the major world power was too precious. Moreover, the power it contained was extremely terrifying. If an ordinary cultivator wanted to touch the major world power, instead, they might be devoured by the major world power. In the end, it would become a part of the major world power. With Lin Feng's current cultivation level, devouring the medium world power was the best choice. Lin Feng and King Kong communicated a lot. Through the communication, Lin Feng found out how extraordinary the major world power in the core of Lulan Island was. Under normal circumstances, a medium world, however, it only contained the power of a medium-level world. However, the medium world power in the core of Lulan Island was very vast and majestic. In the past, the ancestors of the Lulan clan had destroyed countless medium worlds to gather so much major world power. King Kong continued. In fact, it's said that the ancestors of the Lulan clan even obtained a portion of the major world power and fused it into that mysterious world. However, after so many years, I've never seen or sensed it. Major world power. Lin Feng couldn't help but open his eyes wide. He couldn't believe it. That news was too shocking. The major worlds were destroyed during that time. So if some extremely powerful experts of that era joined forces, asked Lin Feng, back then, why did the strong cultivators of the Lulan clan collect so much world strength? They were very ambitious. At the same time, they felt a sense of danger. They wanted to build Lulan Island into a major world and make it impregnable. If they could control a major world, they would be able to borrow the power of the entire major world to fight their enemies. Then, the various powers that coveted the treasures of the Lulan clan would have to think twice about attacking Lulan Island. King Kong said. Lin Feng stroked his chin. He had a feeling that things weren't that simple. Perhaps there was a deeper reason for this. Lin Feng said, if they could create a major world, it would be a matter of great merit. Would the ancestors of the Lulan clan want to borrow such great merit, to break through to a higher realm in one go? King Kong said, "That's very likely." Evidently, King Kong had considered this possibility as well. After all, they had spent a lot of effort to create a mysterious world that could store major world power. Then, they had spent a lot of effort to find all sorts of major world power. Their goal was naturally not that simple. At this moment, waves of violent fluctuations came from the void. Lin Feng looked up. Cracking sounds could be heard. Next, space cracked. The cracked space seemed to be connected to another space-time dimension. King Kong said, "Do you see that? That cracked land is connected to the mysterious world where the major world power is. We can't enter that world. Even if there's no major world power there, there's too much major world power gathered there. Once we enter that place, we'll be instantly killed by the terrifying power of the major world power. If there's major world power, then it'll be terrifying. Even if an immortal-level powerhouse dares to barge in, only death will await them." Lin Feng agreed wholeheartedly with King Kong's words. It was indeed as King Kong had said. Major world power was too terrifying. For example, the 9 states major world gave birth to Nuwa, Pangu, fire god Jurong, water god Gonggong, and so on. The birth of these innate life forms was related to the 9 states major world's world origin. Nuwa, Pangu, and so on were the top powerhouses. They were many times stronger than ordinary immortals. Their birth was related to the 9 states major world's world origin. It could be seen how terrifying the world origin was. Buzz. A strand of major world power fell. That strand of major world power was extraordinary. Surrounded by the holy light, it contained a shockingly pure energy. Later, little brother, you can also collect some major world origin. When you break through to the Great Emperor realm, you can definitely break through to the Great Emperor realm in one fell swoop. Without the support of major world origin, it's too difficult for little brother to break through to the Great Emperor realm with your own savings. King Kong couldn't help but say, this existence was so powerful that he could naturally see Lin Feng's depth at a glance. Lin Feng nodded. He planned to collect as much major world power as possible. If he collected enough major world power, then he would refine part of it to improve his strength. At the same time, he would try to transform his life level again. If he didn't collect enough major world power, Lin Feng would keep the major world power. He would refine it when he broke through to the Great Emperor realm. With the help of the major world power, Lin Feng believed, at that time, he would definitely be able to break through to the Great Emperor realm. Without the help of major world power, it would be as King Kong had said. Chapter 3142. Big Brother, let's devour the power of the world first. Xiao Ling will devour the other power of the world later. Xiao Ling said immediately. Lin Feng said with a smile, Xiao Ling, go first. Big Brother is not in a hurry. King Kong said, Xiao Ling, you go first. After you devour it, try to walk out of the holy flower. There will be more power of the world later. It won't be too late for little brother to devour it then. Xiao Ling agreed when she heard that. Huff, 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 the holy flower flew into the air. It began to devour the power of the world. Soon, the first power of the world was successfully devoured by the holy flower. After devouring the first power of the world, the holy flower fell silent. Xiao Ling should have begun to refine the power of the world. Soon, the second power of the world descended. Sit down cross-legged and use your heart to sense the power of the world. Brute force will not be able to devour the power of the world unless your strength is far beyond the power of the world. However, Only cultivators of the Emperor realm and above can devour the power of the world with brute force. King Kong said. Hearing that, Lin Feng did not dare to hesitate and quickly sat down cross-legged. He began to sense the power of the world that descended from the sky. Soon, Lin Feng sensed the power that was as majestic as the sea. Lin Feng felt as if he was in a vast and boundless world. In that vast world, there was an extremely noble power surging. That power, people couldn't help but be aghast at this sight. Lin Feng had the feeling that in front of that strength, he was extremely tiny. This was the power of the world. Moreover, it was only the power of the world. This made Lin Feng extremely shocked. The power of the world was already so powerful. He really did not know how terrifying the power of the world was. Lin Feng was immersed in a mysterious and abstruse state. He felt that he was forming a special connection with this ancient world. The power of the world. This was a grand and vast world. It was simply too extraordinary. Gradually, the connection became closer and closer. Lin Feng suddenly felt a sense of weakness that he had never felt before. He felt as if there was something. It was constantly devouring his magic power. Very soon, Lin Feng discovered that it was actually the power of this world that was devouring his magic power. When the Fa Li in Lin Feng's body was almost completely devoured, Lin Feng felt an extremely close connection with the power of this world. Lin Feng revealed a look of joy. He had finally refined the power of this world. However, refining such a strand of world energy was simply too difficult. His magic power was almost completely devoured. His body was extremely fatigued. Most importantly, he felt tired mentally. Lin Feng just wanted to have a good sleep. Anything else? He didn't want to do anything. However, Lin Feng's willpower was strong, and he didn't fall asleep immediately. Instead, he looked at the holy flower and King Kong. He immediately saw it. The holy flower and King Kong should be refining the power of the world. They had a lot of experience in this area, unlike Lin Feng, who had no prior experience and had to rely on himself to figure things out. At this moment, a purple light suddenly flashed through the space-time rift. That purple light contained an extremely high-level energy aura. That purple light flashed and disappeared. It even gave Lin Feng an illusion. It was as if that purple light had never appeared. This shocked Lin Feng. Can I use my divine sense to sense that world? Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. That purple light was really too extraordinary, and he didn't know what it was. Lin Feng felt that it was necessary to use his divine sense to sense it. Perhaps he could find something special. Lin Feng tried to use his divine sense to enter the space-time rift. His magic power wrapped around his divine sense, blocking the space-time power that was emitted from the space-time rift. Then, Lin Feng's divine sense quickly rushed towards that mysterious world. Divine sense was equivalent to a cultivator's eyes. Everything that divine sense sensed was no different from what one could see with their eyes. Lin Feng quickly saw a world surrounded by endless holy light. When he saw that world, he couldn't help but be shocked. That world, could it be the mysterious world that the ancestors of the Lulan clan had created to store the power of the world? He didn't know what cultivation level those ancestors of the Lulan clan had back then, but they were actually able to create such a powerful world. It was extremely shocking. Lin Feng's divine sense finally entered that world shrouded in holy light. After entering, Lin Feng discovered that there was another universe in that world. That world was like a vast and boundless starry sky world. After entering it, Lin Feng saw many huge stars. Those stars were naturally not real stars, but stars formed by the power of the world. In this world, the power of the world transformed into stars. The power of the world transformed into stars. Some of the world's power was stronger, so the stars they transformed into were larger. Some of the world's power was weaker. Then, the stars they transformed into were smaller. Lin Feng suddenly discovered a shocking thing, and that was these stars. They actually started to spin in this world. After Lin Feng saw these rotating stars, he couldn't help but ponder slightly. So many huge stars began to revolve, and these stars seemed to be rotating in an extremely orderly manner. This was an extremely shocking scene, because Lin Feng thought of something. The stars in the starry sky world would revolve around a main star as the center. Then, the stars in this star field would revolve around this main star. Could it be that this place had also formed a main star? Thinking of this, Lin Feng's divine sense continued to explore this world. Not long after, Lin Feng saw an extremely huge star. That huge star was surrounded by endless holy light. All the stars seemed to revolve around that star as the center. And Lin Feng could feel that the energy contained in that star was far purer than the energy contained in the other stars. That kind of energy seemed to be a kind of extraordinary energy. The power of the world. Lin Feng couldn't help but exclaim. There was really the power of the world here. His previous guess was indeed correct. He just didn't know if he could get the power of the world, even if he only got a bit of the power of the world. Then, the benefits he would get would be unimaginable. After this idea came into his mind, Lin Feng could no longer suppress the impulse in his heart. Although he knew that refining the power of the world was extremely dangerous, Lin Feng still wanted to try. Chapter 3143. Lin Feng's divine thought approached the main star formed by the power of the major world bit by bit. Gradually, Lin Feng's divine thought got closer and closer to the main star formed by the power of the major world. Originally, Lin Feng even thought that when his divine thought tried to get close to the main star formed by the power of the major world, his divine thought would be instantly destroyed. However, the actual situation was not like that. After Lin Feng's divine thought got close to the main star formed by the power of the major world, he actually felt a gentle force. That gentle force wrapped around Lin Feng's body, making Lin Feng feel extremely comfortable. This feeling was extremely comfortable. Lin Feng was shocked. This was completely different from what he had imagined. The power of the major world did not attack him. Lin Feng did not know the reason. However, this was enough to make Lin Feng shocked and pleasantly surprised. Did this mean that he really had a chance to obtain the power of the major world? If he could really obtain the power of the major world, it would be an unimaginable opportunity for him. Lin Feng began to try to refine the power of the major world. However, he soon discovered that with his ability, it seemed that he could not refine the power of the major world here. This was because the level of the power of the major world was too high. If he wanted to refine the power of the major world, he needed to gradually integrate his Dharma power into the power of the major world. However, Lin Feng's Dharma power was rejected by the power of the major world. It could not reach the level of strong purity that could be integrated into the power of the major world. This was like a toothpick that could not pierce into a piece of iron at all. Lin Feng frowned. It seemed that he could not refine the power of the major world, which made him a little disappointed. However, thinking that he had already obtained the power of the major world, Lin Feng's mood improved again. Lin Feng's divine thought was about to withdraw from it. Suddenly, he felt a powerful aura from the depths of the star formed by the power of the major world. That aura quickly disappeared. The surroundings returned to calmness. There seems to be something wrong with the interior of the star formed by the power of the major world. Lin Feng frowned. He intended to see what was so extraordinary about the world formed by the major world. Lin Feng's divine thought entered the interior of the star formed by the power of the major world. In an instant, Lin Feng saw something shocking. In the interior of the star world, there was a huge creature. The creature was lying on the ground, as if it had fallen into a deep sleep. Tao, that creature was actually a bai, and as a famous ferocious beast, it was an extremely terrifying creature. And the key was Tao had a ferocious temperament. Once it was born, it would be a disaster. Tao's was. Of the three emperors, of the three sovereigns, and 5 of the emperors, its 4 great sons had a grandson, sovereign of the 5 sovereign emperor god, sovereign of the sovereign world. Zhuanshu was born in the wilderness of Ruoshui. Because of Zhua Xiaohao's meritorious service, he was conferred the title of Gaoyang. After the death of Xiaohao, one of the 5 emperors, Gonggong and Zhuanshu fought for the throne. Zhuanshu defeated Gonggong and succeeded Xiaohao as the ruler. And the ferocious beast Swanee was said to be the grandson of Zhuanshu. Zhuanshu had many sons. Some of them were unparalleled heroes, but some of them were extremely evil. Lao Ai was the son of Zhuanshu and a beautiful demonic woman. However, they were ferocious by nature and were one of the famous evil beasts. There was a record of Swan and I in the Classic of Mountains and Seas, Shishan Classic. 220 li to the west, there are 3 dangerous mountains where 3 green birds live. It's a mountain 100 miles wide. There was a beast on it that looked like a cow. It had a white body and 4 horns. It was bold and imposing, and its name was Swan and I. It was a man-eating creature. From the introduction of the scripture of mountains and rivers, he knew that the Swanee was as big as a cow. Its body was white, and it had 4 horns. Its fur was very long, and it liked to eat people. This is the first generation of Xingzha. It was also the most powerful Swanee. Then, the Swanee race was passed down from generation to generation. Even now, there were still Swanee in the world. Of course, the current Swanee bloodline naturally could not be compared to their ancestors. However, there were also some mutated Swanee who had awakened their ancestral blood and mastered the ability to return to their ancestors. They were still extremely terrifying. Now, the Swanee in front of him was emitting waves of terrifying aura. Although the Swanee was still sleeping, it made people tremble involuntarily. It was a kind of soul trembling. Such a terrifying creature was really too powerful and terrifying. Who could contend against it? When Lin Feng saw the Swanee, he was shocked. Why was there such a terrifying creature slumbering here? It was really too strange. Lin Feng was puzzled. At this moment, Lin Feng suddenly felt an indescribably terrifying aura enveloping his body. Lin Feng looked forward and suddenly revealed a look of horror. Tao Wu, who had fallen into a deep slumber, suddenly opened his eyes. That pair of eyes exuded a cold light. Now, those cold eyes were looking at him. Lin Feng was dumbstruck, and his face turned pale. Go! At that moment, Lin Feng didn't even think about it. He quickly withdrew his godly awareness from the great world star. He did not dare to stay for a moment. Soon, Lin Feng's consciousness returned to his body. When he opened his eyes, he could not help but let out a long breath. Thinking back to the scene just now, he still felt a lingering fear. That Swanee was too terrifying. The only thing he was thankful for was that the Swanee did not attack him. If the Swanee had attacked him, that would have been the case. If it had, the consequences would have been unimaginable. When did that fearsome, by and entered the mysterious world to sleep. Was it before the change in the Lulan clan, or after the change in the Lulan clan? Lin Feng could not help but mumble to himself. He thought of many possibilities, but he did not know which one was the most likely. Lulan Island has many secrets. It seems that my understanding of Lulan Island is only the tip of the iceberg, especially the powerful Lulan clan of the past. Is it really extinct? Lin Feng could not help but mutter to himself. He had never really believed that the Lulan clan had been exterminated. Such a powerful clan could not have been completely exterminated, right? But time was long, and everything was buried by history. Not long after, King Kong woke up. King Kong was very strong. At the very least, it was a peak sovereign emperor. Now that he had refined the power of the world, his cultivation had obviously improved by quite a bit. Lin Feng had obtained a strand of the great realm power, so he did not intend to refine it to improve his cultivation. It would be too wasteful to refine it now. Lin Feng decided to save the strength of that world for when he broke through to the great emperor layer. Chapter 3144. Lin Feng and King Kong turned their gazes towards the holy flower. Within the dream world, Lin Feng found out about Xiaoling's background. Back then, she had the broken pulse body. Her parents had no choice but to place her here so that she could change her fate. Now that she had successfully changed her fate, she was only left with the final step to walk out of the holy flower. For countless years, Xiaoling had been in a deep sleep. Furthermore, she had forgotten many things, including her parents. The holy flower had sealed the flow of energy between heaven and earth. As such, it had sealed the flow of time as well. Therefore, the current Xiaoling was still the same age as when she was sealed. She was only 3 years old. She was so innocent and lovable that anyone would want to take pity on her. Boom, a terrifying aura surged out from the holy flower. That aura caused Lin Feng's heart to skip a beat. He did not know if that aura was coming from within Xiaoling's body or from the holy flower. It was truly shocking. Soon, that terrifying aura disappeared. Following that, the holy flower began to bloom. One by one, the petals of the flower spread out in all directions. The fragrance of the flower spread out. Between heaven and earth, beams of holy light shone down. It was beautiful. Not long after, the petals opened up completely. A little girl then walked out. This little girl wore a pure white dress. She looked like a little fairy that had fallen from the 9 heavens. This little girl was Xiaoling, and her delicate appearance was truly lovable. Brother King Kong, Brother Lin Feng, Xiaoling is out. Xiaoling, who had walked out of the holy flower, was extremely happy. She skipped and skipped towards King Kong and Lin Feng. The holy flower began to burn. Finally, a seed was born from the burning holy flower. That was the seed left behind by the holy flower's nirvana. Lin Feng wanted to take that seed. However, that seed had already left through the void. It did not give Lin Feng a chance to take that seed. Lin Feng's gaze then turned towards Xiaoling, seeing that Xiaoling had successfully walked out of the holy flower. Lin Feng could not help but feel happy. He patted the little girl's head and smiled. "Xiaoling, what do you plan to do after coming out?" Xiaoling said, "Just now, I heard a mysterious voice resounding in my mind. That voice seemed to want to bring Xiaoling to a mysterious place. Even though Xiaoling was young, she was a mischievous child. She was not someone ordinary children could compare to. Besides, she knew a lot of things. She looked like an adult." Lin Feng couldn't help but smile when he saw her serious face. But Xiaoling's words caught Lin Feng's attention. A mysterious voice. Whose voice was that? Lin Feng guessed. This voice might be related to her parents. It was still a mystery to this day. Even King Kong probably didn't know. After all, when Xiaoling was placed in the holy flower by her parents, King Kong had probably just been born. Then go find that mysterious place. Perhaps you can find some lost items or something that belongs to you. Lin Feng said as he patted Xiaoling's head. There were some words that he could not say clearly. Perhaps Xiaoling would only grow up after experiencing them. Big brother Lin Feng, can you go with me? Xiaoling raised her head and looked at Lin Feng expectantly. She hoped that Lin Feng would accompany her. Lin Feng said, Big brother still has a lot of things to do, so I can't go with you. Can Big brother King Kong accompany you? Xiaoling was a little disappointed when she heard that, but she still smiled and said, Then when Xiaoling finds that place, I will write a letter to tell Big brother Lin Feng. When the time comes, Big brother Lin Feng must come and find Xiaoling. Of course, Big brother Lin Feng will definitely come and find Xiaoling. Lin Feng said with a smile. In the end, Lin Feng left the mysterious space with King Kong and Xiaoling. They soon went their separate ways. King Kong left with Xiaoling. Lin Feng continued to search for fortuitous encounters on Lulan Island. The myriad races, the Outerium races, and the cultivators from other factions were still searching for Lin Feng. The great emperors from these three factions were furious because Lin Feng had saved King Kong and Xiaoling. They would not give up until they killed Lin Feng. Not long after, someone discovered Lin Feng's tracks. A large number of myriad races, Outerium races, and the cultivators from other factions surrounded Lin Feng. There were even two great emperors among them. One of them was the great emperor of the Sky Devil race, Tian Mo Xia. The other was the great emperor of the Bloodlion race, Kuang Shao. These two great emperors had participated in the attack on King Kong and Xiaoling. They were both immortal emperors, and their strength was terrifying. The two great emperors had set up a formation to trap Lin Feng. They wanted to kill Lin Feng. Moreover, there were thousands of myriad races, Outerium races, and the experts from other factions scattered around. These people would help to deal with Lin Feng. Lin Feng is dead for sure now. The cultivators watching from the sidelines couldn't help but exclaim. The current situation was too dangerous. Anyone who fell into such a dangerous situation would feel despair. Anyone who fell into such a situation would feel despair. Lin Feng, you little brat, you really know how to hide. However, you won't be able to hide anymore. Have you thought about how you're going to die? Tian Mo Xia looked coldly at Lin Feng. His eyes flashed with killing intent. Lin Feng said indifferently, The great emperors of the myriad races are openly attacking a young cultivator from the 9 continents. Have you forgotten what the human race's old emperor said? If the great emperors of the myriad races dare to attack, thousands of your races will be slaughtered. When the human race's old emperor said those words, countless myriad races were enraged. However, only the great emperors knew how terrifying the human race's old emperor was. Therefore, the myriad races began to restrain their own people. The great emperors of the Outerium races and great worlds were also restraining their own people. Although the human race's old emperor didn't mention their names, he clearly included them. Therefore, for a period of time, the great emperors of the myriad races, Outerium races, and other factions were more obedient. The human race's old emperor, Tianma Xia, sneered. He is indeed a terrifying existence, but not to the extent that we myriad races fear him, now that our primogenitor has awakened. If the old emperor of the human race dares to come to Heavenly Sage Great World, I guarantee that he will die without a grave. This was where Tian Mo Xia's confidence came from. Chapter 30, 145. The progenitors of the myriad races were too powerful, each unfathomable. The primogenitors of the myriad races had all awakened. If they joined forces, what kind of terrifying momentum would they create? This was something no one could imagine. No wonder. It turns out that you have the support of those old farts. However, this is all you myriad races can do. Without the support of those old bastards, who do you think you are? Lin Feng couldn't help but pout. The cultivators around were astonished. Lin Feng was surrounded by the strong cultivators of the 10,000 clans, and surprisingly, he dared make fun of them. Moreover, there were 2 immortal emperors among the cultivators from the myriad races. How audacious! Rumor has it that Lin Feng is extremely arrogant. Looks like it's true. This guy will be crying in a while. Some of the cultivators from the myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and other foreign forces who were watching the show sneered. In their opinion, Lin Feng was dead for sure. There was no chance for him to escape. This was because the 2 immortal emperors had made ample preparations. The cultivators of 9 provinces looked at Lin Feng worriedly. They didn't know if Lin Feng could escape. Attack, Guang Xiao said indifferently. He didn't want to waste any more time. If Tian Mo and Tian Mo could kill Lin Feng now, they would be able to share Lin Feng's treasures, spells, luck, and so on. If more immortal emperors came, then the number of immortal emperors who could share Lin Feng's treasures would increase. As a result, the 2 of them would receive less loot. This was not something that Wild Owl and Heavenly Demon Evil wanted to see. Blood Blue, Devil Moon. Guang Xiao made his move and immediately unleashed a powerful superpower. The dermic powers in his body continued to surge out. Those powerful dermic powers actually gathered together. Then, the magic power gradually turned into a huge moon. The moon was originally a bright one. The moonlight sprinkled down from the sky. It was very beautiful, but in the blink of an eye, the moon turned into a blood-red moon. An evil power surged out from the blood-red moon. People couldn't help but be shocked. However, the moon's changes were not over yet. As time passed, the moon began to change. As time passed, the moon gained a touch of blue. In the end, the moon became a blood-blue moon. A terrifying aura spread out from the blood-blue moon. A loud, rumbling sound was heard. The blood-blue moon fell from the sky, crushing toward Lin Feng. Guang Xiao was indeed worthy of being an immortal Emperor Realm expert. The divine ability he unleashed was truly terrifying to the extreme, causing people to involuntarily be aghast. This was definitely an unparalleled ability. Once used, it could turn the heavens upside down. Its power was boundless. The void seemed to be on the verge of shattering. At the same time, the other immortal emperor, Demonic Demon, also used a powerful ability, devil breaking the myriad worlds. Demonic demon roared. The demonic demon's power ability of immortal emperors of myriad worlds, immortal emperors of heaven and earth, every beam of light. They all contained destructive power. Those beams of light suddenly turned into terrifying creatures. Those creatures were all creatures of the devil world. Some had 3 heads and 6 arms, while others had wings on their backs. All of them had monstrous auras. Every single one of these terrifying creatures could easily destroy a world. Those terrifying creatures rushed toward Lin Feng, wanting to kill Lin Feng. The attacks of the 2 immortal emperors were too terrifying. It made people feel despair. The cultivators watching the battle felt the attacks of the 2 immortal emperors. They were all trembling. Their faces were as pale as paper. This is too terrifying. As expected of an attack from an immortal emperor, many people cried out in horror. One had to know that the attacks of the 2 immortal emperors were not targeted at these cultivators, but they still caused such a strong sense of oppression. From this, One could see how much pressure Lin Feng was under. Facing the attacks of the two immortal emperors, Lin Feng couldn't help but sneer. He took out the sky drum. Dong, dong, dong. Following that, Lin Feng beat the sky drum. The immortal heroic spirits will revive once again. The unyielding warriors, please wake up quickly. Even if you can destroy our bodies, you can't destroy our wills. We are willing to do our last bit for this world, this era, and the countless living beings. We have taken out the swords in our hands. We have raised the weapons in our hands. Our undying wills are shouting. Together, we will fight bravely against the enemy. Even if we die 9 times, we have no regrets. Along with the shouts, the people in the crowd began to shout. In an instant, earth-shaking shouts resounded through the clouds. Loud rumbling sounds were heard. Behind Lin Feng, a vast world appeared. That world was hazy. One couldn't see it clearly, but it emitted a shocking power. That world, it was filled with too many mysteries. That world, it hid too many secrets. That world, it was mysterious and unfathomable. At that moment, a dense crowd of cultivators flew out from that mysterious world. Those cultivators formed an army. They were immortal, heroic spirits. They had undying wills. The sky drum had summoned them. The army charged forward. It crushed the world. The divine abilities summoned by Kuang Shao and Xie Tianma were instantly broken. Lin Feng had obtained the sky drum for some time now. During this time, he had been comprehending the wonders of this supreme treasure. Not long ago, when Jin Gang was recuperating, Lin Feng had been comprehending the wonders of the sky drum. Finally, he had figured out how to activate it. Although Lin Feng still couldn't fully unleash the power of the sky drum, he could still unleash a portion of its power. The sky drum shook the 9 heavens. It resounded through the clouds. Now, the army of cultivators he summoned was invincible. The army of cultivators charged towards the 2 immortal emperors. When the 2 great emperors sensed the aura of the sky drum, they couldn't help but reveal fearful gazes. The sky drum was too terrifying. It was simply unbelievable. They didn't fight against the army of cultivators summoned by the sky drum. Instead, they chose to retreat quickly. The army of cultivators instantly killed a large number of experts from the myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and other foreign forces. Then, they tore apart the great emperors that the 2 great emperors had set up. Lin Feng quickly rushed out and disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng only stopped when he was 30 miles away from the battlefield. He couldn't help but take a deep breath. The sky drum was terrifying, but it consumed too much energy. He had just activated the sky drum, but more than half of his magic power was instantly devoured. Chapter 3146. Lin Feng walked all the way into the depths. In the next few days, he heard some news. There was news about him and also news about Long Aotian. The news about him was that there were great emperors from the myriad races, extraterritorial races, and other external forces who wanted to take his life. Therefore, these great emperors sent more subordinates to find his whereabouts. A few days ago, when Lin Feng took out the heavenly drum, even the 2 immortal emperors were so shocked that they did not dare to make a move. This caused a huge uproar. Then, the news about the heavenly drum spread. Someone recognized the origin of the heavenly drum, commanding billions of heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. Once the heavenly drum beats, heaven and earth will be destroyed. This is definitely a peerless treasure from ancient times to modern times. Many people were talking about the heavenly drum. This treasure was simply too extraordinary. Lin Feng has too many powerful Dharma treasures. This guy's luck is monstrous. Not only can we obtain his Dharma treasures and divine arts, but we can also plunder his luck. Then, a cultivator said. It was indeed as this cultivator said. Everything about Lin Feng was too shocking. This was also the reason why those great emperors wanted to kill Lin Feng at all costs. There were also many rumors about Long Outyen. This was because Long Outyen had always wanted to subdue a few powerful cultivators to be his human pets. If it was when Long Outyen was just born, there would be no problem. But now, Long Outyen's battle strength had dropped greatly. However, this guy did not give up and took action. This guy did not only do this. Moreover, the targets he chose were not simple. Myriad races, extraterritorial races, and other external forces, saintesses, and goddesses became Long Outyen's targets. However, Long Outyen, whose battle strength had dropped, failed every time he attacked. After failing, Long Outyen was chased by those saintesses and goddesses. Those saintesses and goddesses often had many escorts or suitors. In order to vent the anger in their hearts, Long Outyen wanted to kill those saintesses and goddesses. Those escorts and suitors of the saintesses and goddesses also started chasing Long Outyen. Although Long Outyen's strength had dropped greatly, his escaping skills were still very strong. Because of this, he was able to evade the pursuit of those cultivators many times. On this day, Lin Feng heard news that Xian Lengen, the saintess of the immortal god clan, Dongfang Jiyue, the saintess of the starry race, and Princess Yaoji, the saintess of the heaven and earth macro world, had joined forces to search for Long Outyen's whereabouts. Each of them wished they could cut Long Outyen into pieces. The three saintesses were all peerlessly beautiful. They were all peerless figures of their generation. They had been harassed by Long Outyen earlier. Long Outyen was a hooligan and a scoundrel. He appeared next to the three saintesses one after another, and then said all kinds of obscenities, wanting to subdue the three saintesses and make them his human pets. The identities of the three saintesses were too extraordinary. Furthermore, each of them was extremely powerful. How could he tolerate this? They had many protectors and suitors, but they did not ask them to attack Long Outyen. They wanted to capture Long Outyen and torture him. This was the only way to vent the hatred in his heart. What did Long Outyen say to the holy maidens? Why are they so angry? When Lin Feng heard that the three saintesses were searching for Long Outyen, he could not help but rub his head. He had interacted with Long Outyen more than once, and knew how shameless Long Outyen was. Therefore, no matter what Long Outyen did, Lin Feng would not suspect anything. The only thing that puzzled Lin Feng was what Long Outyen said. Long Outyen seemed to have disappeared from the world. The three saintesses searched for a long time, but they could not find him. Lin Feng saw the three saintesses from afar. Xian Lengen, the saintess of the immortal god clan. This woman's cultivation was very terrifying, and it was said that her bloodline was very heaven-defying. She could compete with great emperors long ago. Her cultivation had been at the peak of the Boundary Emperor realm for a long time. She could break through to the Boundary Emperor realm at any time, but Xian Lengen did not choose to do so because she wanted to continue stabilizing for a while. She wanted to fully stimulate her potential. Lin Feng did not know the saintess of the starry race, Dongfang Jiyue. He had never seen this saintess before either. However, Lin Feng had heard of how extraordinary Dongfang Jiyue was. The starry race was one of the overlords of the outer realm, with a long history. It was said that the starry emperor was an extremely terrifying great emperor. Dongfang Jiyue was the starry emperor's daughter. As for fairy Yaoji, Lin Feng was all too familiar with her. She was the ruler of the universe realm, the daughter of the universe emperor. She had gone against Lin Feng many times. This woman was very terrifying, and she had many powerful means. She could not be underestimated. These three women were all peerless figures of their generation, and it was unknown how many pursuers and admirers they had. Lin Feng could not help but feel that the shameless Long Outyen had good taste. However, it was not until later that Lin Feng found out that Long Outyen's targets were not just these three. There were also several saintesses, and they were all very powerful. Moreover, they were all outstanding beauties. Suppressing these three women should be enough to exchange for many of the 3,000 great Daos. Lin Feng could not help but touch his chin. He urgently needed the 3,000 great Daos, so he wanted to capture the top geniuses of these opposing forces and threaten the forces behind them. I'm afraid I can't do it alone. These women are very scary. They have many terrifying means hidden, and they all have powerful treasures on them. I need to come up with a foolproof plan. Lin Feng could not help but think. Although Lin Feng wanted to suppress the three saintesses, he knew that it would be very difficult. Lin Feng was confident that he could defeat the three saintesses, but defeating them and capturing them were two completely different things. Moreover, Lin Feng could not act rashly and alert the enemy. If he attacked the three saintesses, he had to succeed in one strike. If he captured the three saintesses directly, if they escaped, in that case, it would not be easy to capture the three saintesses in the future. Boom! A violent sound came from afar, attracting the attention of many people. Even the three saintesses were attracted. In the mountains over there, a cultivator said as he pointed to a mountain in the distance. There was a holy light soaring into the sky from that mountain. No one knew if some amazing treasure had appeared. When the cultivators rushed over, they saw a fat man and a donkey showing off their prowess. They defeated dozens of cultivators and fled without a trace. Chapter 3147. After seeing Fatso and the donkey, Lin Feng's expression became extremely strange. Weren't those Fatso and little donkey? Those two actually came to Lulan Island as well. Lin Feng hadn't seen Fatso and little donkey for a long time. He had no idea where the two of them had run off to. Now that he saw Fatso and little donkey appear, Lin Feng was very happy. After all, those two were Lin Feng's old friends. Don't let that damned Fatso and that donkey escape. The holy light from before is definitely a supreme treasure. Capture them, kill them, and snatch the supreme treasure. Many cultivators from the myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and other foreign factions shouted loudly, each of them filled with killing intent. There were very few treasures that emitted holy light. However, any treasure that emitted holy light, regardless of whether it was a magic treasure or a natural treasure, was fine. They were definitely the most precious supreme treasures. This was something that was publicly acknowledged in the world of cultivators. Therefore, when everyone saw the holy light appear in the mountain range, they were almost certain that a supreme treasure had appeared. Countless cultivators chased after Fatso and little donkey. Lin Feng didn't stop and quickly left. That person's back looks very familiar. Suddenly, Xian Lengen looked at Lin Feng's back and couldn't help but frown. The distance was rather far, so Lin Feng's back was already very blurry. Even so, this figure still gave Xian Lengen a sense of familiarity. It's Lin Feng, Fairy Yao Ji said. She had interacted with Lin Feng more than Xian Lengen had with Lin Feng. Therefore, she immediately recognized Lin Feng's back. Oh, that person is Lin Feng? He doesn't seem to be anything special, Dongfang Jiyu said in astonishment. She had heard the name Lin Feng countless times. Her friends would always talk about Lin Feng during their gatherings. The cultivators of her clan would always talk about Lin Feng. After coming out, countless cultivators from other clans, extraterrestrial races, and other external forces would also talk about Lin Feng. Even the great emperors were discussing Lin Feng. It was unknown but the name Lin Feng had become an existence that even great emperors had to pay attention to. How could Dongfang Ji not be curious about Lin Feng? However, when she glanced at Lin Feng from afar, she felt that the rumors about Lin Feng might be exaggerated. Dongfang Ji had seen too many geniuses. There was a peerless saint shrouded in holy light. Among them were the descendants of the ancient clans who possessed the most ancient bloodline. There were children of destiny who were blessed by the heavenly Tao at birth, and so on. As for Lin Feng, he looked so ordinary that she was rather disappointed. Don't underestimate Lin Feng. The 10,000 clans, the foreign races, and the cultivators of the great worlds all want to kill him, but he's still alive. That's enough to prove that he's strong. Xian Lengen said. She thought of the time when they fought for the holy fruit in the forbidden space. Lin Feng had left a deep impression on her. Lin Feng was just a human, nothing more. The human's body was weak. However, Lin Feng overturned her impression of the human race. Lin Feng used his physical body to defeat more than 10 experts, including the 3 great emperors. In that battle, they had lost 7 to 8 supreme geniuses of the younger generation. It was a disastrous loss. That battle was filled with humiliation for them, especially the 3 imperial monarchs. They'd even taken that incident to be the greatest humiliation in history. The 3 great emperors even warned Xian Lengen, and the rest not to speak of what happened in the forbidden space. Even though the 3 emperors didn't say anything threatening to them, they didn't dare to say anything. However, they could clearly feel the cold killing intent from the 3 sovereign emperors. If someone really dared to reveal what happened in the forbidden space, they might be mercilessly killed by the 3 great emperors. Xian Lengen had only fought Lin Feng with his physical body. He had never fought against Lin Feng with his spiritual power. However, in Xian Lengen's eyes, Lin Feng's physical body was already so strong. His spiritual power would definitely not be weak. Hence, Xian Lengen was extremely wary of Lin Feng. Fairy Yao Ji said, "This Lin Feng is indeed very powerful. Moreover, he had many fortuitous encounters and possesses many powerful magic treasures. Many of these magic treasures can be used to turn the tide of a battle, just like when Lin Feng was trapped by Guang Xiao and Tian Emosia. The 2 immortal emperors led thousands of experts from the 3 powers to set up a huge array to trap Lin Feng. Such a situation was simply like an inescapable net. Lin Feng would definitely die. However, Lin Feng took out that mysterious magic treasure, the heavenly drum. It shocked the 2 immortal emperors so much that they did not dare to fight him. In the end, they allowed him to escape. This legendary magic treasure, the heavenly drum, is only one of the many magic treasures on him." Dongfang Ji snorted coldly and said, "Lin Feng's treasures are too shocking. No wonder so many people want to kill him. Luckily, he left quickly. Otherwise, he would be a corpse now." Seeing how confident Dongfang Ji was, Xian Lengen and Fairy Yao Ji were slightly moved. Even though they weren't particularly familiar with Dongfang Ji, they had still spent some time together. They didn't think that Dongfang Ji was an arrogant person. However, Dongfang Ji was very confident in killing Lin Feng. This greatly surprised them. "Sister Ji, do you have some powerful means to kill Lin Feng?" Fairy Yao Ji looked at Dongfang Ji and asked with a smile. Xian Leng also looked at Dongfang Ji. She was also very curious. She didn't know if Dongfang Ji really had such an extraordinary method. Of course, not to mention Lin Feng, even immortal emperors and low-level god monarchs would be killed if they were careless. Dongfang Ji said confidently. However, Dongfang Ji didn't tell Xian Lengen and Fairy Yao Ji what that method was. It was unknown if he was deliberately guarding against the two of them or if there were other reasons. Xian Lengen and Fairy Yaoji were both extremely intelligent people. Since Dongfang Ji Yu didn't say anything, the two of them didn't continue to ask. However, the two of them couldn't help but be on guard against Dongfang Ji Yu. The three of them had formed a temporary alliance to deal with Long Outyan. If the three of them could become close friends in a short period of time, even if they told others about it, no one would believe them. Let's put aside Lin Feng's matter for now. Our current priority is to find that damned Eastern Dragon God. Xian Lengen said. A cold light flashed through her beautiful eyes. Chapter 3148. Xian Lengen and Fairy Yao Ji clearly knew what Dongfang Ji wanted to say. The two girls couldn't help but nod slightly. The three of them wanted to capture Long Outyan. Moreover, they wanted to deal with him personally. It seemed like it wasn't just because Long Outyan wanted to capture them as human pets. There was clearly something else going on. But what exactly was this secret? For now, it was unknown. Xian Lengen, Fairy Yao Ji, and Dongfang Ji Yu, the three Sanuses, didn't stay any longer. They quickly left as well. Fatso and Little Donkey finally managed to shake off their pursuers. They stopped in a valley to rest. Who is it? Come out. Do you believe that Lord Donkey will stomp you to death with his fart? Little Donkey was very alert. He looked in a certain direction and shouted fiercely. Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. He had just appeared, and Little Donkey had already discovered him. Lin Feng had known for a long time that Little Donkey was extraordinary. This was a donkey with a very mysterious background. But now, he knew how extraordinary Little Donkey was. It's been so many years, but Brother Donkey is still as elegant as ever. After being discovered by Little Donkey, Lin Feng simply walked out from his hiding place. He smiled at Little Donkey. Although Brother Donkey was only Little Donkey, Lin Feng treated him as a friend. Little Feng, it's actually you. I've really missed you all these years. Little Donkey immediately shouted after seeing Lin Feng. He twisted his butt and quickly pounced at Lin Feng. Then, Little Donkey's two hind legs touched the ground. Then his body straightened. Little Donkey then spread his two front legs and gave Lin Feng a big hug. Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. Little Donkey was really smart. He could actually walk on his hind legs. It gave Lin Feng a very strange feeling. Lin Feng and Little Donkey gave each other a bear hug. Then he looked at Fatso and said with a smile, "Damn Fatso, what is that treasure you just got? Show it to me." Fatso rolled his eyes and said, "What treasure? You're mistaken." Hearing this, Lin Feng said speechlessly, "Damn it, I'm just taking a look. I didn't say that I want your stuff." He saw Fatso hiding the treasure. Little Donkey rushed over. Then, with a hoof, he kicked the fatty to the ground. "Damn donkey! Bastard donkey! What are you doing?" Fatso roared angrily. Little Donkey shouted, "Take it out, and we'll split it equally." Then Little Donkey snatched the item from Fatso's storage ring. Lin Feng saw a ball of holy light. Within the holy light, there was a drop of spiritual liquid. The energy contained in that drop of spiritual liquid was too terrifying. After seeing that drop of spiritual liquid, Lin Feng could not help but be shocked, for words flashed through his mind. Sacred source liquid. This was an extremely rare and precious spiritual liquid. It was rumored that this was an immortal liquid that was born in the core world. This spiritual liquid had many uses, such as cleansing a cultivator's body, increasing a cultivator's cultivation, and so on. This kind of thing could be said to be the most precious natural treasure. This was something that cultivators dreamed of. Although there was only one drop, it was precious enough. Little Donkey immediately split this drop of spiritual liquid into 3 and gave one to Fatso. He swallowed one of them himself. The other was given to Lin Feng. Ha 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 ha, Brother Donkey is still the best. Fatso, you have to learn from Brother Donkey in the future. You can't be so stingy with your own brother. Lin Feng looked as if he was teaching Fatso a lesson. Fatso was speechless. It's easy for you to say that. Lin Feng patted Fatso's shoulder and said with a smile, look at what you're saying. Our relationship can't be measured by these things. Fatso could not help but roll his eyes. He suddenly had the urge to slap Lin Feng to death. Lin Feng continued, I have a big business deal to discuss with you. What business? Fatso's eyes lit up when he heard that Lin Feng had a big business deal to discuss with him. What big business deal? What big business deal? Little Donkey was also very excited. Lin Feng said, I saw Dongfeng Jiyu, Xian Lengen, and Fairy Yao Ji together earlier. These 3 have extraordinary origins. Are you interested in helping me suppress these 3? Fatso's eyes lit up when he heard Lin Feng's words. When Fatso had first joined the Reincarnation Immortal sect, he had always wanted to bring a fairy back home to be his wife. However, he had not been able to bring a fairy back to be his wife. Therefore, when Fatso heard that Lin Feng wanted to suppress the 3 holy maidens, he immediately wanted to help. Fatso wanted nothing more than to immediately take action with Lin Feng and suppress the 3 holy maidens. Fatso said while drooling, Good, good, good. What a great idea. The 3 holy maidens are all outstanding beauties. This fat lord wants to bring them back home to be his wives. Lin Feng could not help but roll his eyes. He almost kicked Fatso away. He said in annoyance, That's all you've got. Fatso rubbed his hands and chuckled. Brother, I can't compare to you. If I had as many beautiful women as you do, I wouldn't be in such a hurry to bring a few beautiful female cultivators back home to be my wives. Lin Feng said, I didn't capture the 3 holy maidens so that you could bring them back to be your wives. Then why did you capture them? Are you trying to monopolize them? That won't do. At most, you'll get 2 and I'll get 1. Fatso said fiercely, with an expression that said this was the limit of my patience. Lin Feng said, Of course, I don't want to monopolize them. This time, I captured the 3 holy maidens because I plan to use them to exchange for the 3,000 great Tao from the forces behind them. Upon hearing the words 3,000 great Tao, Fatso's eyes lit up again. He looked at Lin Feng with a smile and said, Little Lin Feng, you're really something. You can even think of this. I have to admire you. Wives are nothing. You can find them anytime, but the 3,000 great Tao are not easy to obtain. Although Fatso did not seem very reliable most of the time, Lin Feng knew that Fatso was someone who knew what was important at critical moments. Just like now, Fatso knew what to do. How about we talk about the specific plan in detail after we refine the sacred source liquid? Lin Feng said. Okay. Fatso and Little Donkey nodded quickly. The 3 of them did not stay in the valley. They quickly left, found a hidden cave, and entered it. They began to cultivate in seclusion. Lin Feng drank the sacred source liquid directly, and then began to circulate the Archean dragon-esque elephant art to refine the sacred source liquid. Chapter 30:149. After the pure energy of the sacred source liquid was completely broken down, Lin Feng immediately felt the Dharma power in his body begin to stir. This was an extremely excited fluctuation. The Dharma power in Lin Feng's body seemed to have a soul of its own. It was as if it could think. After a large amount of pure energy was absorbed by Lin Feng's Dharma power, Lin Feng's cultivation level increased again. This time, Lin Feng's cultivation level increased by 2 levels. He went from the 62nd stone step to the 64th stone step of the quasi-emperor realm. Lin Feng woke up with an extremely surprised expression on his face. His cultivation level and combat strength had increased again. This was extremely difficult for him because Lin Feng's accumulation was too strong. It was easy for others to achieve a breakthrough, but for Lin Feng, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. This was the difference between Lin Feng and others. Therefore, Lin Feng cherished every opportunity to break through. When Lin Feng woke up, Fatso and Little Donkey were still in closed-door cultivation. It was not until 6 hours later that Fatso and Little Donkey came out of closed-door cultivation, one after another. These two fellows had obviously benefited greatly as well, so they were dancing with joy after coming out of closed-door cultivation. Each was more excited than the other. Next, let's properly discuss how to suppress the three saintesses. Lin Feng couldn't help but say. Fatso's eyes immediately lit up, and he grinned. Hee, then we'll have to properly think about it. Broken Dragon Ridge. Rumor had it that this was a place where dragons had fallen. In the past, an extremely powerful Eastern divine dragon had fallen in this place. There were towering peaks everywhere. There were fewer trees in the forest, and it exuded a cold and terrifying aura, as if it was a forbidden zone for life. This place was very strange, and there were unknown dangers. Ever since Lulan Island appeared, many cultivators had come to explore this place, but it was said that many strange things had happened. Many cultivators had died, here one after another. As for the cultivators who managed to escape, they were all in a daze, and their minds had become abnormal. If they were asked about what happened in the Broken Dragon Ridge, those people would be abnormally frightened, and their emotions would become extremely irritable. This matter could be said to have caused a great uproar, but no one knew the reason. So the Broken Dragon Ridge also became a forbidden area overnight. If there was no special reason, no one would be willing to set foot in this place. There were rumors that the Eastern Divine Dragon, named Long Outyen, had entered the Broken Dragon Ridge. The three Saintess pursuers and escorts who were searching for Long Outyen stopped in front of the Broken Dragon Ridge. He didn't dare to take another step forward. Boom! Terrifying fluctuations swept through the heavens and earth, surging in all directions, shocking everyone. The three Saintesses entered the Broken Dragon Ridge together and no longer concealed their strength. He released a powerful aura. He wanted to use this to intimidate some unknown and terrifying things. The reason why the three Saintesses dared to enter the Broken Dragon Ridge was that they were strong enough. Moreover, each of them had hidden powerful means and were not afraid of the dangers in the Broken Dragon Ridge. Immortal coldness lingered in the immortal light, like a fairy in the moon palace, cold as the moon. Her lotus steps were light, rippling out waves of ripples. Fairy Yao Ji was dressed in white, like a fairy from the ninth heaven. Her temperament was untainted by the mud, like a pure, immortal lotus that could only be seen from afar and not profaned. Dongfang Jiyu's body was surrounded by the power of moonlight, as if a fairy was born from the moonlight. She was incomparably beautiful and peerless. Her every move had a great charm, making people's hearts palpitate. There were many pursuers and escorts outside, watching the three Saintesses enter the Broken Dragon Ridge together. There were also some cultivators who watched the three Saintesses enter the Broken Dragon Ridge. However, except for the three Saintesses, no one else set foot in it, because the legend of the Broken Dragon Ridge made many people feel terrified. No one was willing to joke with their own life. The same was true for many cultivators who pursued the three Saintesses. Why did that damned Eastern dragon god enter this place, causing us to be in a difficult position? Some cultivators were extremely angry, and their killing intent was awe-inspiring. The place the Eastern dragon god went to was too dangerous. So many people didn't dare to enter. Now, these people began to blame Long Outyen. This place couldn't be entered casually. If one entered, they would be met with a calamity. If one didn't enter, then they wouldn't be able to raise their heads in front of the saintesses they were pursuing. If they still wanted to pursue the three saintesses, then it would be a daydream. Soon, the three saintesses disappeared from the sight of the people outside. The three saintesses observed the broken dragon ridge, only to see that there were strands of black chi coming out from the ground, and even from the mountain rocks permeating the air. Immortal coldness sent out a strand of magic power, wrapping around a strand of black chi. Screech! Suddenly, a sharp screech came from the black chi. When Immortal Coldness heard the screech, he couldn't help but jump in fright. Dongfang Jiyu and Fairy Yaoji also jumped in fright. Did the black chi develop spirituality? Dongfang Jiyu said. Fairy Yaoji nodded and said, "It's very possible." Saying so, Fairy Yaoji also used her magic power to wrap around a strand of black chi. Screech! The strand of black chi wrapped around by Fairy Yaoji also let out a sharp screech, sounding very mournful. It was like the mournful screech of a malicious spirit. It made people's hair stand on end. How strange! Immortal Coldness couldn't help but take a deep breath and said, "This place is very similar to the Devil Burial Ground." Dongfang Jiyu said, "Oh, Devil Burial Ground. What kind of special terrain is this?" Immortal Coldness and Fairy Yao Ji didn't know much about feng shui, so they looked at Dongfang Jiyu in astonishment. The devil rises from the east, the sun and moon startled. The devil falls from the heaven and earth, burying the heaven and earth, burying the ancient devil. The 10,000 evil chi is born. Dongfang Jiyu suddenly muttered. This seemed to be a limerick, but it didn't rhyme. Dongfang Jiyu used her magic power to wrap around a strand of black chi. That strand of black chi also let out a sharp screech. This screech could affect a cultivator's soul. If a weak cultivator heard it, their soul would directly shatter. Even a powerful cultivator couldn't listen to it for a long time. Otherwise, their soul would be greatly damaged. It's rumored that only the Devil Burial Ground can produce this kind of devil chi. That's why this demonic chi was born. We call this demonic chi the chi of all evil. Dongfang Jiyu said, "Amazing, amazing. You even know about the 10,000 evil chi and can tell that this place is the Devil Burial Ground. Fairy Jiyu is not only beautiful, but also knowledgeable. I can't help but admire you." Chapter 3150. Lin Feng. Xian Lengen and Fairy Yaoji had heard Lin Feng's voice before. Thus, when they heard this voice, they instantly knew who the owner of this voice was. The owner of this voice was none other than Lin Feng. "That's right, it's me." The void cracked open, and Lin Feng walked out with a smile on his face. Dongfang Jiyu looked at Lin Feng with a smile and said, "Looks like you purposely released fake news to lure us here, right?" Not only did Dongfang Jiyu not show any fear, she even looked at Lin Feng with a meaningful gaze. It was as if she had everything under control. No matter what happened, she would be able to predict everything. Xian Lengen and Fairy Yaoji were both extremely intelligent people. They quickly recovered from their shock. Then they looked at Lin Feng with cold gazes. Lin Feng smiled and said, "That's right, I was the one who lured the three of you here. The three fairies are really cooperating with me." "What's your goal in luring us here?" Xian Lengen asked. Although she could roughly guess what Lin Feng was thinking, she still wanted to ask for more details. She hoped to get an accurate answer from Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Actually, my goal is very simple. I just want to have a romantic trip with the three holy maidens. Lulon Island is really a good place. The scenery is beautiful, the environment is beautiful, and there are so many treasures. The three holy maidens don't have a single man by your side. Don't you feel empty, lonely, and cold? I'm willing to volunteer myself to be the three holy maidens' personal assistant. After hearing Lin Feng's shameless words, the three holy maidens suddenly had the urge to punch Lin Feng to death. They wanted nothing more than to cut Lin Feng into pieces. Cut him into pieces. They had seen shameless people before, but they had never seen someone as shameless as Lin Feng. Moreover, even some shameless people would behave politely in front of the three saintesses. Who would be like Lin Feng, acting so brazenly and brazenly? He wanted to win her heart. Naturally, he needed to perform well and show his gentlemanly side in order to make a beauty's heart flutter. Of course, the three saintesses also knew that Lin Feng's purpose in coming here was not as simple as he said. His shameless words just now were just to provoke the three of them. Dongfang Jiyu sneered and said, "You really don't want to take the right path to heaven, but instead you barge into the doorless hell. Could it be that you think you can suppress the three of us just because you've lured us here? If that's the case, then it's too stupid." Lin Feng smiled and said, "Little Yaya, you are really a smart woman. You can see through many things so clearly. I really admire you." "Shut up. Who are you calling little Yaya?" Dongfang Ji, you couldn't help but glare fiercely at Lin Feng. She was very dissatisfied that Lin Feng called her little Yaya so intimately. "Ha ha ha, little Lin Feng, looks like you're not this fairy's cup of tea." At that moment, Fatso walked out from another direction. Of course, not all the women in the world like Big Brother Feng. Little Donkey also walked out. Lin Feng, Fatso, and Little Donkey formed a triangle. They surrounded the three saintesses. Seeing Fatso and Little Donkey appear, the three saintesses frowned slightly. However, their brows quickly relaxed. Even though Lin Feng had two helpers, they were still very confident. "Beauty, little Lin Feng isn't your cup of tea. Look at this handsome and suave fat brother. Isn't he your cup of tea?" Fatso shook its butt as it spoke. It was like a male peacock spreading its tail to attract a female peacock. "Get lost, or I'll chop you into pieces." Dongfang Ji, you wasn't someone with a good temper. She couldn't help but glare coldly at Fatso. Fatso immediately showed a bitter expression and said, "Are you blind? How dare you speak to this handsome Lord Fatty in such a tone? Do you believe that Lord Fatty won't sell you to Myriad Flower Brothel after I capture you?" "Damned Fatso, I'll chop you into pieces later." Dongfang Jiyu's killing intent surged. "Do it," Lin Feng said. He didn't want to waste any more time. He waved his hand, and instantly lines of formation runes intertwined in the void. The densely packed runes contained a world-destroying fluctuation. Every fluctuation was unimaginably terrifying. Those runes weren't set up by Lin Feng. Instead, they were the runes in the Broken Dragon Ridge itself. It was difficult to deal with the three holy maidens by relying on one's own strength. He needed some other methods. This was to prevent the three holy maidens from escaping. It was impossible to set up a powerful formation in a short period of time. Moreover, even if he did set up a formation, he might not be able to lure the three holy maidens into the formation. Thus, it wasn't feasible to set up a formation to deal with the three holy maidens. After discussing with Fatso and Little Donkey, Fatso mentioned the Broken Dragon Ridge. It was rumored that the Broken Dragon Ridge was related to a fallen Eastern dragon. Lin Feng couldn't help but think of Long Outyen, and the three holy maidens were looking for Long Outyen. Therefore, in the name of Long Outyen, it was very likely to attract the three holy maidens. Thus, Lin Feng released the news and really attracted the three holy maidens. The Broken Dragon Ridge was indeed extremely dangerous. Lin Feng felt that something was wrong because the Broken Dragon Ridge had formed a devil burial ground. However, the Eastern dragon wasn't a devil. What kind of devil was buried in the devil burial ground? Lin Feng didn't understand what was going on. This place made him feel uneasy. However, in order to deal with the three holy maidens, Lin Feng still took the risk to use the formation here. He took down the three holy maidens in one fell swoop. The densely packed runes sealed the void and shrouded the three holy maidens. The three holy maidens couldn't escape. Little donkeys shouted at this time. This holy sage is currently lacking 3 maids to serve this holy sage. If the 3 of you take the initiative to submit to this holy sage won't treat you unfairly. What do you think? Damn donkey, I'll kill you and make donkey roast later. The 3 holy maidens couldn't help but glare at little donkey fiercely. Even a donkey dared to be so impudent towards the 3 of them. This made the 3 holy maidens extremely angry. They wanted nothing more than to kill little donkey immediately. You don't know what to do. Little donkey snorted coldly. Boom, boom. Chapter 3151. The grand formation here could only be described as peerlessly terrifying. The great formation here was terrifying to an unimaginable degree, so the attacks released could be described with the word shocking. All sorts of attacks, such as death beams, destruction rays, and so on, were unleashed towards the 3 saintesses. The 3 saintesses took out their magic treasures to block these powerful attacks. Fairy Yao Ji took out her cosmic sword. This was a powerful imperial weapon refined by her father, the Heaven and Earth Monarch. The Heaven and Earth Monarch only had one daughter, Fairy Yao Ji. Naturally, he loved her dearly. He didn't even hesitate to use his origin to refine this sword for her. The cosmic sword's power was boundless. It gently shook the void. It was able to sweep out endless killing lights. Those killing lights contained a terrifying fluctuation that could destroy the world. Its power was so strong that it made people turn pale with fright. Dongfang Ji, you took out a seal-type magic treasure. This treasure was called the Blood Moon Seal. It was shrouded in the color of blood. There was a blood moon diagram imprinted on the seal. The blood moon diagram was very strange. It seemed to be able to revive. This was also a powerful imperial weapon. It possessed terrifying power. The blood moon rose into the sky, and the world collapsed. Myriad worlds shattered. Xian Lengen's treasure was a heaven chaotic sash-type treasure. This treasure was called the 9 Dragons Heaven Chaotic Sash. It was said that it was forged with the soul of a 9-headed heavenly dragon. It was also a powerful imperial weapon. The 3 saintesses all wielded imperial weapons. From this, one could see how powerful their attacks were. Bang, bang, bang. A series of violent collisions rang out one after another. The 3 saintesses wielded their imperial weapons and displayed shocking battle prowess. They relied on the power of the 3 imperial weapons to break through the various attacks of the Grand Formation. However, this was already the limit of what they could do. The Grand Formation's attacks were too terrifying. It was already good enough that they could block the attacks, let alone counterattacking Lin Feng, Fatso, and Little Donkey. They couldn't do this at all. Lin Feng said with a faint smile, "It seems that the 3 fairies are destined to be captured by us today." Lin Feng, don't be too pleased with yourself. There are still many methods that I haven't used yet. When the time comes, you will be doomed eternally. Dongfang Ji sneered. "I feel a little uneasy. We should end this quickly," Fatso said in a deep voice. Fatty's senses had always been extremely accurate. Hearing Fatty's words, Yi Zichen nodded. Lin Feng's expression darkened. He nodded. He hurriedly took out the other 3 supreme treasures. 9 Demons Diagram, 5 Dragon Wheel, Hell King Bell. The 3 supreme treasures locked onto the 3 of them. Then it quickly flew over, wanting to defeat the 3 of them. The three saintesses hurriedly activated their monarch weapons to block Lin Feng's three supreme treasures. Clang, clang, clang. Sounds of violent collisions were heard, accompanied by the earth-shaking noises. The sound of the three supreme treasures clashing against each other was deafening. Terrifying energy shockwaves swept out, almost shattering the void. This collision was incomparably terrifying. People couldn't help but be moved and shocked by this scene. At the same time, Lin Feng, Fatso, and Little Donkey worked together to push the power of the formation to the maximum. The earth-shattering attacks continued to bombard the three saintesses. Without the protection of their monarch weapons, the three saintesses could only rely on themselves. It was naturally more difficult for them to deal with the formation's attacks. Bang, bang, bang. The three saintesses were directly swept away by the formation, their faces turning pale. Their expressions were extremely ugly. The formation here was too terrifying. There was no way they could resist it. Xian Lengen and Fairy Yao Ji both looked at Dongfang Jiyu, because Dongfang Jiyu confidently said that she had a way to deal with Lin Feng. Sister Jiyu, hurry up and make your move. Otherwise, we might be suppressed by Lin Feng. Fairy Yao Ji said. All right. Dongfang Jiyu nodded. Then she took out an item. It was actually a piece of gold leaf. A piece of gold leaf as thin as a cicada's wing. The most inconceivable thing was that the piece of gold leaf was obviously damaged. More than half of it was missing. Only a small piece was left. After seeing the piece of gold leaf, Fatso grinned. Such a broken piece of gold leaf, and no one would pick it up on the streets. You have the nerve to take it out and embarrass yourself? Damned Fatso, you'll be kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy later. Dongfang Jiyu glared fiercely at Fatso, then began to chant an incantation. Something's not right. There's something wrong with that broken piece of gold leaf. Lin Feng's expression suddenly sank. Whoosh! With a flash of light, the stone sword flew out. Lin Feng wielded the stone sword and attacked Dongfang Jiyu. However, it was already too late. The piece of gold leaf emitted waves of golden light. Activating the piece of gold leaf didn't take too long. It only needed a few simple incantations to be able to release the attack of the piece of gold leaf so quickly. Forget Lin Feng. Even if it was a monarch or an emperor-level expert, they wouldn't be able to stop Dongfang Jiyu from releasing the power of the piece of gold leaf. The golden light from the piece of gold leaf shot up to the sky. Amidst the golden light, ancient characters began to appear one after another. Those words, they seemed to be words that were branded on the piece of gold leaf. It was an extremely ancient language. Lin Feng carefully looked at it, but he didn't recognize the words on the piece of gold leaf. That was why Lin Feng didn't know what the words on the piece of gold leaf meant. What the hell is that thing? Fatso couldn't help but mutter. He was also an experienced and knowledgeable person, but he had never seen a treasure like the piece of gold leaf. Extremely strange. Extremely strange. Little Donkey also couldn't help but shout. The piece of gold leaf was truly too extraordinary. Its aura was extremely terrifying. Lin Feng quickly retreated, putting some distance between him and the piece of gold leaf. This is immortal chilliness. Fairy Yao Ji also looked at the mysterious piece of gold leaf in shock. That treasure also made them feel incomparably shocked. Such a terrifying treasure was definitely world-shaking. By the will of the heavens, the heavenly emperor's edict, suddenly, an earth-shattering voice resounded between heaven and earth. That voice was filled with majesty, like the might of the heavens, unstoppable. Anyone who heard that voice would feel shocked, trembling. Even their souls were trembling. There was only fear in their hearts. It was like an ant facing a dragon. A mortal facing a heavenly god. The Heavenly Emperor's Edict. That treasure is the legendary Heavenly Emperor's Edict. At this time, the Demon Lord's voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind. Chapter 3152. The Demon Lord was usually very calm. Very few things could affect the Demon Lord's mood. However, the piece of golden leaf had changed the Demon Lord's mood. Judging from the Demon Lord's reaction, that piece of golden leaf should be an extremely shocking treasure. The Heavenly Emperor's Edict was the name of the treasure, but Lin Feng had never heard of it before. Was it related to the legendary Heavenly Emperor? The Heavenly Emperor, the Lord of the Undying Realm. He had a deep connection with the heavenly realm. What kind of treasure is this? Lin Feng asked. The Demon Lord said, it should be the Heavenly Emperor's Edict, written by the first Heavenly Emperor. The Heavenly Emperor's Edict is written on a piece of 9 heavens' supreme immortal gold leaf, so it is imbued with a terrifying power. There were only a few Heavenly Emperor's Edicts in the past, and after a few great battles, I thought the Heavenly Emperor's Edicts were destroyed in the long river of time. I never thought they would still exist in this world. However, look at this Heavenly Emperor's Edict. Its power must have weakened a lot, but it's just too extraordinary. Even if it's weakened, it's still terrifying. It's not a good time to fight the 3 women. Let's leave this place before the Heavenly Emperor's Edict unleashes its full power. Lin Feng was shocked after hearing the Demon Lord's words. Lin Feng didn't expect the situation to be so serious. But the Demon Lord wasn't one to joke around. The Demon Lord sounded very serious. It seemed like there was really a big problem. The Heavenly Emperor's Edict was definitely a terrifying treasure, even though it was badly damaged and looked like a piece of junk. However, it shouldn't be underestimated. Let's go, Lin Feng said. Fatso and Little Donkey were shocked when they saw Lin Feng's serious expression. Let's go, let's leave this place, Fatso shouted. Heavenly Donkey, Holy Master won't play with you anymore. Little Donkey shouted. The 3 quickly rushed outside. Dongfang Jiyu's expression changed when she saw Lin Feng and the other 2 running away. She didn't expect someone like Lin Feng to take the initiative to retreat. Dongfang Jiyu increased the speed of the edict. She locked onto Lin Feng and said coldly, Lin Feng, today it's difficult for you. Heavenly Emperor's manifestation. As soon as Dongfang Jiyu finished speaking, the image of a man appeared in the golden light formed by the Heavenly Emperor's edict. The man emitted a terrifying and powerful aura. It was a man shrouded in endless holy light. That man was the legendary first-generation Celestial Emperor. The position of Celestial Emperor was like the Emperor of the mortal world. He was not a fixed person. It was passed down from generation to generation. Heavenly Emperor, it was just like how emperors, prime ministers, and so on were all titles. The first Heavenly Emperor was naturally the strongest. Legend has it that the first Heavenly Emperor was a sentient life form that could fight against existences like Niwa, Pangu, Taishang, Guangyuan, and so on. From this, one could see how strong was the first Heavenly Emperor. The Edict of the Heavenly Emperor summoned the first Heavenly Emperor's projection. It was truly an extremely powerful treasure. This treasure was simply unheard of. The projection of the Heavenly Emperor locked onto Lin Feng after it appeared. Whoosh! Then, the projection of the Heavenly Emperor quickly rushed towards Lin Feng. When the projection of the Heavenly Emperor opened and closed his eyes, it was as if there were 2 worlds floating within. A terrifying aura was emitted from the projection of the Heavenly Emperor. It was powerful, shocking, and soul-stirring. I originally wanted to kill all 3 of you, but your early escape interrupted my plan. I had no choice but to summon the projection of the Heavenly Emperor. Now, I can only kill you first, then think about killing that damned fatso. And that little donkey. Dongfang Jiyu looked at Lin Feng indifferently. At this moment, Xian Lingen and Fairy Yao Ji couldn't help but take a deep breath. Dongfang Jiyu's methods were truly extraordinary. If they were the ones locked onto by the projection of the Heavenly Emperor summoned by the Edict of the Heavenly Emperor, Xian Lingen and Fairy Yao Ji felt that they would undoubtedly die. They simply couldn't resist the attack of the projection of the Heavenly Emperor. Lin Feng, who was locked onto by the projection of the Heavenly Emperor, felt an unprecedented sense of danger. He felt that he would die at any moment. His body couldn't help but tremble. He had never felt as insignificant as he did now. The first Heavenly Emperor was truly an unrivaled existence, an existence that could compete with Niuhua, Pangu, Grand Supreme, Guangyuan, and other experts was truly too powerful, even if it was only a projection that appeared after countless years. It was terrifying enough. It made people's hair stand on end. Kill! A cold voice suddenly sounded. The projection of the Heavenly Emperor displayed a powerful attack, wanting to kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng hurriedly took out the Heavenly Profound Pagoda to block the projection of the Heavenly Emperor. At the same time, Lin Feng used one qi into 3 pure ones. The 9 layers of haki condensed into a magnetic field. Together, they suppressed the projection of the Heavenly Emperor. The projection of the Heavenly Emperor instantly destroyed the defense of the Heavenly Profound Pagoda. Then, it continued to attack Lin Feng. However, it was suppressed by Lin Feng's 9 layers of haki. The projection of the Heavenly Emperor's speed was greatly suppressed. Its power also rapidly decreased. But even so, the projection of the Heavenly Emperor was close to being unable to resist. The terrifying aura of the projection of the Heavenly Emperor enveloped Lin Feng. A fist swept towards Lin Feng's main body. Lin Feng waved his 5 times dragon elephant arm and clashed with the projection of the Heavenly Emperor. Crack, crack! His arm had actually been directly broken. The projection of the Heavenly Emperor's power had already reached a shocking level. There was simply no way to resist. Lin Feng's body flew out, blood flowing from his 7 orifices. Projection of the Heavenly Emperor. The projection of the Heavenly Emperor continued to launch a terrifying attack towards Lin Feng. This time, the projection of the Heavenly Emperor transformed into a dazzling beam of light. It was as though it could instantly destroy heaven and earth. Even the void was torn apart. Then, it slashed towards Lin Feng. After Lin Feng was locked onto by the terrifying beam of light, he instantly felt the threat of death enveloping his entire body. That aura of death was so dense and so terrifying that it caused one to involuntarily feel despair. Lin Feng's will to resist was about to crumble in an instant. Too terrifying. Xian Lingen and Fairy Yao Ji couldn't help but be greatly shocked. The projection of the Heavenly Emperor's attack wasn't targeted at them. But after feeling the projection of the Heavenly Emperor's attack, the 2 girls couldn't help but reveal an aghast expression. The projection of the Heavenly Emperor's attack was truly too powerful. Anyone would feel despair. In their opinion. Chapter 31:53. Lin Feng. The myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and great worlds have sent so many experts to take your life, but none of them succeeded. Now, you're going to die in my hands. Do you have any last words before you die? Dongfang Ji looked at Lin Feng with a smug look. Clearly, Dongfang Ji was very confident that she could kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't despair. His willpower was very strong. He quickly overcame the thought of giving up in his heart. Lin Feng began to use the Supreme Reincarnation Fist. This was a divine ability that Lin Feng created himself. It was Lin Feng's own Tao. When the Supreme Reincarnation Fist was activated, it was inside Lin Feng's body. All of the divine ability grand arrays revolved around the Supreme Reincarnation Fist divine ability grand array and spun rapidly. Lin Feng seemed to have turned into an unparalleled immortal god. His temperament had changed. At this moment, Lin Feng had an indescribable domineering aura. The two clones disappeared. The magnetic field formed by the 9 layers of domineering aura dissipated. The divine ability array formed by Lin Feng's 3 types of domineering aura. It also began to revolve around the Supreme Reincarnation Fist formation. The power of the 3 types of domineering aura continuously flowed into the Supreme Reincarnation Fist. Lin Feng's 3 types of domineering aura were very powerful. The domineering aura had many unimaginable abilities. Unfortunately, perhaps it was because the realm wasn't high enough. Lin Feng had been unable to raise the level of his domineering aura. It was said that domineering aura was divided into many layers. Lin Feng's domineering aura was equivalent to the first layer of domineering aura. Domineering aura transformation was a technique of the second layer of domineering aura. It was unknown how powerful the domineering aura of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th layers would be. Lin Feng's domineering aura was extraordinary. The epic domineering aura was a domineering aura that could continuously evolve. It had already evolved to the 3rd layer, which was red. The white tiger domineering aura was the 7th layer, which was green. The supreme domineering aura was the 9th layer, which was purple. Other than the white tiger haki that had been cultivated to the haki transformation stage, epical haki and supreme haki were still the most primitive uses. This was especially true for Lin Feng's paragon aura. If he could cultivate it to a high level facing the attack of the Sky Emperor's phantom, Lin Feng immediately unleashed his Supreme Being aura. It could instantly destroy the Celestial Emperor's phantom. However, that would have to wait until Lin Feng cultivated his Supreme aura to the 4th or 5th level. Obviously, the current Lin Feng was still far from being able to do this. Of course, even if he couldn't do it. However, the 3 types of domineering auras in his body played an extremely important role at this moment. The 3 types of domineering auras could stimulate all of Lin Feng's divine abilities and raise their power to the peak. This was a very frightening point. This was because after a cultivator cultivated a divine ability, it was hard to say how much of the divine ability's power could be unleashed. The same person had used the same divine ability twice. The first time he used this divine ability, the power of this divine ability might be able to reach 70% of its peak power, but the second time he used it, it might only be 50% of its peak power. It was almost impossible to unleash 100% of the power of a divine ability. However, the domineering aura could increase the power of these divine abilities to 100%. Moreover, Lin Feng had cultivated close to 100 different divine abilities, and the power of these divine abilities had all reached 100%. And these divine abilities could continuously inject a portion of his power into the Supreme Reincarnation Fist. Lin Feng's Supreme Reincarnation Fist was powerful in this aspect. The more divine abilities Lin Feng cultivated, the more powerful the Supreme Reincarnation Fist would be when he used it. Of course, the consumption of magic power for this divine ability was unimaginable. The magic power in Lin Feng's body couldn't support him for too long. He estimated that he would only be able to throw 4 or 5 punches. Lin Feng's magic power was about to be depleted. Generally speaking, one had to be extremely careful when using such a divine ability. Especially when surrounded by a large number of cultivators, one had to be even more cautious when using it. Now, Lin Feng had reached the point where he had no choice but to use the Supreme Reincarnation Fist. If he didn't use this divine ability now, he would die in the hands of the Sky Emperor's projection. Lin Feng first used his immortal divine body to recover from his injuries, and then the Supreme Reincarnation Fist swept out, towards the Sky Emperor's projection. Bang! Along with the earth-shaking sound of violent collisions, the sound of the collisions spread out. Lin Feng and the Sky Emperor's projection collided, as if two unparalleled rulers of the world had collided, with the place where they collided as the center. The void began to crack. Dense cracks appeared in the void. Those cracks were like spider webs that densely covered the void. It made one's heart involuntarily tremble. How is this possible? Dongfang Jiyu, Xianlingen, and Fairy Yaoji all exclaimed in disbelief. The Sky Emperor's projection was so powerful. And now, Lin Feng had actually blocked the Sky Emperor's projection's attack. This made the three of them feel as if they were in a dream. Everyone's face couldn't help but reveal a shocked expression. Just how strong was Lin Feng's cultivation base to be able to block the Sky Emperor's projection's attack? It was only now that the three girls realized that they had underestimated Lin Feng's battle strength. Lin Feng was far more terrifying than they had imagined. After the Sky Emperor's projection's attack was blocked by Lin Feng, the Sky Emperor's projection continued to launch a powerful attack on Lin Feng. Bang! 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 Next, both sides once again exchanged 3 punches. The Sky Emperor's projection became even more illusory. Obviously, the Sky Emperor's projection was about to reach its limit, but at this time, Lin Feng's situation had also become extremely bad. Right now, Lin Feng could only feel that the mana in his body was about to be exhausted. At most, he could still use one more punch. If the next punch was still unable to break the Sky Emperor's projection, then it would be dangerous. Let's attack together and increase the power of the Sky Emperor's projection, Dongfang Jiyu said in a deep voice. Next, Dongfang Jiyu, Xianlingen, Fairy Yaoji, and the other 2 all poured their powerful mana into the Sky Emperor's projection's body, the aura of the Sky Emperor's projection sword, and once again, it swept a punch towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng's expression became gloomy and once again collided with the Sky Emperor's projection. This time, Lin Feng was forced to retreat again, and his mana was almost exhausted. Lin Feng's situation became extremely dangerous. However, the Sky Emperor's projection did not collapse. The 3 holy maidens seemed to have noticed that something was wrong with Lin Feng's situation, and immediately became incomparably proud. But at this moment, Fatso and Little Donkey split open the void, and appeared behind the 3 holy maidens. Lord Heavenly Donkey Lord is back again. Little Donkey shouted loudly, locking onto Dongfang Jiyu and Xianlingen. Little Donkey, this guy, actually fought 1 against 2, raising his back hooves and kicking towards the 2. Fatso, on the other hand, locked onto Fairy Yaoji and punched towards her. Chapter 3154. Fatso and Little Donkey had yet to leave. They had been hiding in the dark, ready to attack Dongfang Jiyu, Xianlingen, and Fairy Yaoji at any time. It was just that they hadn't found the opportunity before. Now, the 3 saintesses had all made their moves, strengthening the Heavenly Emperor's projection with their magic power. Their attention was focused on killing Lin Feng. Therefore, Fatso and Little Donkey had locked onto this opportunity and suddenly attacked, catching the 3 saintesses off guard. Little Donkey's attack was very powerful. The power of his 2 hooves was so strong that it made people pale. Dongfang Jiyu and Xianlingen's expressions changed slightly. They quickly blocked Little Donkey's attack. However, before they could attack, they heard a poof sound. Following that, a stench quickly spread out. Little Donkey, was indeed a piece of work. When he attacked, he used a series of dirty tricks. He actually used such shameless methods to deal with peerless beauties like Dongfang Jiyu and Xian Lengen. Dongfang Jiyu and Xian Lengen almost fainted from the smell, even though the two of them weren't misophobic. But they were also women who loved cleanliness. Now that they smelled such a disgusting smell, they saw stars and felt nauseous. They almost vomited directly. They had made their move in a hurry. The power they gathered wasn't particularly strong. After smelling Little Donkey's smelly attack, the power they had gathered with great difficulty dissipated by another 30%. Bang, bang, the two sides collided. Little Donkey directly kicked Dongfang Jiyu and Xian Lengen away. Aha! Heavenly Donkey, Holy Sovereign's attack is indeed extraordinary. Little Donkey couldn't help but laugh. Little Donkey wasn't bragging. His attack was indeed very powerful. Dongfang Jiyu's magic power was on the verge of dissipating. She couldn't continue to activate the Heavenly Emperor's decree. Without the support of powerful magic power, the Heavenly Emperor's projection began to gradually dissipate. At the same time, on the other side, Fatso locked onto Fairy Yao Ji. Fairy Yao Ji was incomparably terrifying, but after all, she had made her move in a hurry. After clashing with Fatso, she was directly sent flying by Fatso. Fairy Yao Jiyu's face became extremely pale. She also suffered heavy injuries. Lin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. He circulated the remaining magic power in his body and then punched towards the Heavenly Emperor's projection. A muffled sound of collision was heard. After taking on Lin Feng's punch, Linzazazaz, to say Linzas twos, Lin Feng took out his celestial absorbing jar, which flew out and absorbed the Celestial Emperor's edict. Because the Heavenly Emperor's to twos. Dongfang Jiyu suffered a backlash and couldn't help but let out a painful scream. Then Lin Feng took out his immortal binding rope. To wrap to bind, Donkey, Little Donkey charged toward Xian Lengen. He lifted his back hoof and kicked at Xian Lengen again. Xian Lengen was exhausted and was once again sent flying by Little Donkey's kick. Little Donkey charged forward. Powerful magic power surged out and directly suppressed Xian Lengen. Hee, Fairy Yao Ji, Grandpa Fatty has admired you for a long time. Be suppressed by Grandpa Fatty. Fatso charged towards Fairy Yao Ji. This guy had a smile on his face. His eyes were shining as he looked at Fairy Yao Ji. Fatso wanted to suppress Fairy Yao Ji, but at this moment, Fairy Yao Ji took out a jade talisman. That jade talisman directly exploded. Bang! A powerful force of impact. It fiercely bombarded Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng was directly sent flying. The power of such a fierce attack was terrifying to the extreme. Fatso was sent flying. Fairy Yao Ji tore apart the formation and quickly escaped. This little girl is really ruthless. She almost used a jade talisman to blow Grandpa Fatty to death. The saying that a woman's heart is the most poisonous is indeed true. Fatso howled. This guy's clothes were all tattered from the explosion. However, what shocked Lin Feng was that Fatso did not have any injuries on his body. Although Fatso's screams were loud, in reality, he did not suffer any injuries at all. Fatso, you still have the nerve to act pitiful here. You let Yao Ji go. You know that? Little Donkey could not help but roll his eyes at Fatso. Fatso could not help but roll his eyes and say, "Damn Donkey, what are you saying? Do you believe that Grandpa Fatty will beat you up for being so impudent?" Little Donkey curled his lips and said, "If you dare to make a move, Grandpa Heavenly Donkey doesn't mind kicking you to death." Fighting each other was Fatso and Little Donkey's daily life. This was something that Lin Feng already knew. They were a pair of clowns. Seeing Fatso and Little Donkey fighting each other, Lin Feng could not help but laugh out loud. Lin Feng, what will it take for you to let us go? Dongfang Jiyu took a deep breath and tried her best to calm herself down before looking at Lin Feng and asking. Xian Lengen also said, tell us your conditions. We will definitely do our best to agree to them. Lin Feng said with a smile, 30 types of 3,000 grandas, and I will return your freedom. After hearing Lin Feng's conditions, Dongfang Jiyu and Xian Lengen could not help but roll their eyes. Dongfang Jiyu coldly said, you are making things difficult for us. Treasures, cultivation resources, heavenly treasures, etc. We can give you anything you want. Xian Lengen said, these inheritances would not be passed down to outsiders. Sometimes these inheritances would not be willing to cooperate, but it was not that these people did not want to cooperate. It was because there was a restriction in their minds. If they dared to pass down these inheritances, the restriction in their minds would kill them. Lin Feng said indifferently, if that's the case, then I have nothing to say to you. I will wait for your elders to come. Following that, Lin Feng took out the 9-dragon cauldron and suppressed the 2 women inside. Although Fairy Yao Ji had escaped, Lin Feng was still quite satisfied with being able to suppress Dongfang Jiyu and Xian Lengen. Broken Dragon Ridge was not a place to stay for long. Lin Feng said, this place is too eerie and terrifying. Let's quickly leave. Fatso and Little Donkey hurriedly nodded. They did not want to stay here any longer. However, at that moment, a terrifying aura surged out from the depths of Broken Dragon Ridge. Black fog rolled. It covered the entire Broken Dragon Ridge. Lin Feng, Fatso, and Little Donkey were unable to leave Broken Dragon Ridge. They were trapped inside. Broken Dragon Ridge was a very scary place. Many people had died in Broken Dragon Ridge. Therefore, after suppressing Dongfang Jiyu and Xian Lengen, Lin Feng wanted to quickly leave Broken Dragon Ridge. However, it seemed that they could not leave even if they wanted to. Kacha, kacha. It was at this moment that a series of strange sounds were heard. It sounded like the sound of friction, the sound of bones cracking, and the sound of chewing. Chapter 3155. What's that sound? Fatso's voice turned solemn. Fatso's methods were extraordinary, and he had always treated life like a game. It was rare for him to have such a serious expression on his face. However, it was different now. This was because the fatty sensed an aura that made his soul tremble. It sounds like the sound of chewing. Could some powerful monster be eating something? Little Donkey couldn't help but ask. He then looked at Fatso and said, Fatso, you're in trouble. You're so fat, and you taste just right. If that monster really wants to eat the 3 of us, it'll definitely eat you first. You have to hold on for a little longer. The longer you hold on, the greater our chances of escaping. Fatso rolled his eyes when he heard Little Donkey's words. Haven't you heard of this saying? Dragon meat in the sky, donkey meat on the ground. This means that donkey meat is the most delicious thing in the world. If I were that monster, I'd eat you first. You have to hold on for a little longer so that Lin Feng and I can escape. Little Donkey and Fatso were truly a pair of clowns. They were the best of the best. Even at a time like this, they still didn't forget to tease each other. Lin Feng couldn't help but admire the 2 of them. The sound disappeared. Lin Feng said. The strange sound didn't continue. It quickly disappeared. After hearing the strange sound, Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. That sound was too strange. He didn't know what it came from. Do you want to go deeper to take a look? Little Donkey said. There was a strange sound in the depths. They were unwilling to retreat, just like that. Little Donkey wasn't the only one who was unwilling. Lin Feng and Fatso were also unwilling. Of course, They knew that once they entered the depths, they would face great danger. However, as the saying went, wealth comes from danger. They didn't want to take any risks. They also wanted to obtain a great opportunity. How could there be such a good thing in the world? Soon, the three of them came to an agreement and decided to explore the depths. This place was called Broken Dragon Ridge, but it was the terrain of the Devil Burial Ground. What was so profound about it? Lin Feng couldn't help but feel puzzled. Perhaps after entering, they would be able to uncover the secrets hidden within. The three of them carefully walked toward the depths of Broken Dragon Ridge. As they gradually approached the depths, the three of them felt a cold aura enveloping their bodies. It was as if something terrifying was staring at them in the dark. Lin Feng took out 2 stone swords to protect himself. Fatty, on the other hand, took out a dirt yellow flag. His khaki-colored flag looked a little shabby. However, the origin of that khaki-colored flag was extremely extraordinary. That treasure was called the Devil's Suppressing Banner. It said it was extremely powerful. The donkey, on the other hand, took out a black hoof. What is this thing? Lin Feng couldn't help but look curiously at the black donkey's hoof. Little donkey. Little donkey said mysteriously, "This is a holy artifact." Holy artifact? Lin Feng looked at the black donkey's hoof in surprise. He couldn't see anything special about the black donkey hoof. However, Little Donkey said that the black donkey's hoof was a holy artifact. Then the black donkey's hoof might really be a holy artifact. Does this black donkey's hoof have an extraordinary origin? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. Of course, the black donkey's hoof is one of the 7 evil-warding treasures. Little Donkey said. Then he continued, "The black donkey's hoof I obtained is not simple. It's not an ordinary black donkey's hoof, but a black donkey's hoof left behind by a descendant of the Black Donkey clan." It was indeed an extraordinary treasure, because Fatso's eyes shone with greed as he looked at the black donkey's hoof. It seemed like he wanted to rush up and snatch the treasure away. However, Fatso didn't act. Perhaps he had done so before, but Little Donkey was very strong, even stronger than Fatso. It was impossible for Fatso to snatch something from Little Donkey. If he really attacked, the most likely possibility was that he would be beaten up by Little Donkey. The three of them continued walking. Finally, they arrived at the deepest part of Broken Dragon Ridge. In this place, a huge passage appeared. The passage was as black as ink. It was connected to the depths of the ground. It was very deep and emitted a cold and terrifying aura. "It's here. Let's be careful," Lin Feng reminded. This place made him feel very uneasy, but Lin Feng didn't plan to leave. He had already prepared to enter and explore. After arriving at the place, it was naturally impossible for him to suddenly change his mind. Fatso and Little Donkey's expressions also became solemn. They nodded and walked towards the underground passage with Lin Feng. This underground passage was extremely deep and emitted a cold and terrifying aura. However, the three of them didn't encounter any danger along the way, which made them feel extremely surprised. In the end, the three of them entered a huge underground cave. The depths of this underground cave were connected to 3 passages. The passage led to a deeper place. In the cave, there were many skeletons accumulated. They should be the skeletons left behind by the creatures who died here. After seeing those skeletons, Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly, because he saw some extremely extraordinary skeletons. For example, he saw a jade-like skeleton that was crystal clear. There were also a few golden skeletons. Of course, there were also many different skeletons. The skeletons here had completely decayed. With a light touch, they would turn into ashes. Bones evolving into golden or jade-like colors is not something that ordinary cultivators can do. The cultivators who died here were very powerful. Fatso said. Lin Feng said, I wonder how these people died. At that moment, waves of terrifying fluctuations came from the depths of the three caves. After sensing the powerful fluctuations coming from the depths of the caves, Lin Feng's expression couldn't help but become solemn. It seemed that something terrifying was quickly crawling out from the depths of the caves. Not long after, a huge cobra, nearly 100 meters long, crawled out from the left passage. It was a 9-headed cobra, and its eyes flickered with a sinister light. A huge toad crawled out from the right passage. This toad was pitch black, and venom constantly flowed out from its body. It was extremely horrifying and terrifying. In the middle of the tunnel, a huge spider spirit crawled out. This spider spirit had 7 hideous human heads on its abdomen. Chapter 3156. The 9-headed Cobra King, the Dark Toad, the human-faced spider demon. Each of the 3 terrifying creatures exuded an aura that made one's heart palpitate. That aura was so terrifying that anyone who sensed it would involuntarily feel a sense of horror. Keek, lowly creatures, you actually dared to enter the forbidden area. You're simply courting death. The Dark Toad laughed sinisterly. The flesh and blood of ants like you are really delicious, especially that brat in the middle. His flesh and blood is so fragrant. The 9-headed Cobra King's sinister eyes looked at Lin Feng. The stronger the bloodline, the greater the effect it had on the evolution of these creatures. Lin Feng's bloodline was really too powerful. Therefore, in the eyes of the 9-headed Cobra King, Lin Feng's flesh and blood was extremely delicious. The human-faced spider demon said, Don't waste your breath. Let's kill these 3. The human-faced spider demon should be the leader of these 3 creatures. As soon as he finished speaking, the human-faced spider demon took the lead and pounced on Lin Feng. Then, the 9-headed Cobra King pounced on Fatso. The Dark Toad pounced on Little Donkey. Uffed. The Dark Toad directly sprayed a large amount of poison at Little Donkey. Uffed, 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 uffed. Instantly, the void was corroded by the Dark Toad's poison. The Dark Toad's poison was extremely terrifying. This kind of poison could cause unimaginable harm to a cultivator. Even a great Emperor-level expert would die in a very short period of time after being poisoned. I'll let you have a taste of Lord Heavenly Donkey's unparalleled unique skill. Facing the Dark Toad's attack, Little Donkey directly aimed his donkey, but at the Dark Toad. Uffed, uffed, uffed. Then, a series of smelly attacks were released by Little Donkey. Little Donkey's smelly attacks were really too powerful. It directly formed a gust of wind and blew back the Dark Toad's poison. The poison was directly sprinkled on the Dark Toad's body. The Dark Toad roared, Lowly creature, I'll take your dog life. Divine Toad art. Then the Dark Toad roared, and its body began to swell. They started to croak. An extremely terrifying power condensed within its body. Clearly, it was brewing an extremely terrifying divine ability. At the other side, the 9-headed Cobra King's attack was also extremely powerful. All 9 heads could spit out venom. In addition to venom, it could also spit out various other attacks. For example, thunder, lightning, hail, fire, and so on. Venom was one of the 9-headed King Cobra's trump cards, while thunder, lightning, and other attacks were its innate attacks. Now, the 9-headed Cobra King's attack was truly horrifying and shocking. Those terrifying rays of light caused people to be shocked and moved. An overwhelming number of attacks blasted towards Fatso. Oh my God! Help! Fatso screamed. This guy was already screaming before the fight even started. It really made people speechless. Such a powerful attack made Fatso's heart skip a beat, if not for the fact that the nine-headed Cobra King had locked on and could not escape. Fatso might have already run away. The nine-headed Cobra King looked at Fatso indifferently and disdainfully. In its opinion, the ant-like human Fatso in front of it was not much of a threat. Killing this fatty was as easy as flipping his hand. When the dense attacks were about to hit Fatso, Fatso's fat body suddenly moved quickly as if it was teleporting. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Every time Fatso appeared, he would only stay for a moment and then disappear directly. He was quickly approaching the nine-headed Cobra King. Fatso's methods were still very shocking. Lin Feng and Fatso were best friends, but in fact, he did not even know the origin of Fatso. Back then, he met Fatso and Little Donkey on the way to the Reincarnation Immortal sect. At that time, Fatso and Little Donkey were also out to gain experience. In the beginning, Lin Feng did not feel that Fatso and Little Donkey were extraordinary. But the more he knew, the more shocked he was. These two people had too many methods. They definitely had a shocking origin. However, Fatso and Little Donkey did not mention their origin. Lin Feng naturally would not take the initiative to ask. Everyone had their secrets. The way to get along with friends was to respect their secrets. If a friend did not want to say, but still tried to pry into his friend's privacy, when the time came, no matter how good the relationship was, it would drift apart. At this time, the magic weapon in Fatso's hand had changed from the demon suppression flag to a dagger. The nine-headed Cobra King's 9 ferocious heads spat out one attack after another, but they could not hurt Fatso. Fatso dodged all of them. Fatso came to the top of a huge and ferocious head of the nine-headed Cobra King. Then he held the dagger in his hand and stabbed at the 7-inch position of the nine-headed Cobra King's head fiercely. The 7-inch position, the weakest point of a snake, was also the Achilles heel. Once the 7-inch position was hurt, the snake would almost certainly die. It's done. Fatso's eyes suddenly lit up. Fatso wanted to pierce the 7-inch position of the 9 heads of the nine-headed Cobra King. In this way, the 9 heads would die one after another, and the nine-headed Cobra King would be killed in the end. But when Fatso's dagger stabbed at the 7-inch position of the nine-headed Cobra King's head, there was a clang of collision. Sparks flew everywhere. Clang. It was as if this attack had struck the hardest magical treasure. It could not cause any damage to the nine-headed Cobra King at all. Damn it! This giant snake is terrifying. Its 7-inch head is so hard. Fatso screamed in horror. At this moment, the nine-headed Cobra King's thick tail had already lashed over. Fatso wanted to dodge, but the surrounding void was confined by the nine-headed Cobra King, so his teleportation failed. Bang! Along with the sound of a violent collision, there was a loud sound. The nine-headed Cobra King's thick tail had already lashed Fatso's body and directly sent Fatso flying. Barf! Fatso could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood, and his face became as pale as paper. With a plop, he fell to the ground. The nine-headed Cobra King opened its bloody mouth and swallowed Fatso, wanting to swallow Fatso in one gulp. At this time, the human-faced spider demon also launched a powerful attack on Lin Feng. The human-faced spider demon spat out dense spider webs.